Kairu's stick broke. He needs one. They turn it over. Ferrario on a breakaway, shoots and scores. A turnover on the exit by the Blues. And LA takes a 1-0 lead. From Byfield to Fiala, now to Kempe. One touch back to Fiala, far side. Kempe shoots and scores. They put it in, and the St. Louis Blues fall in overtime. A power play goal by the Kings.
It's disappointing. We don't start on time. We didn't come close to executing the game plan. We're going to have to change things up and do things different, you know, because we're not, like the intensity we started the game with, just it wasn't there. It was lacking, and we need to find more consistency with how we play.
Same story, different season for the St. Louis Blues. That's what it sounded like right here on 101 ESPN last night. They do get a point, but they lose in overtime by a final score of 2-1 against the LA Kings. With Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's 11:05. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Alex, Jim Montgomery was none too thrilled last night. He was pissed after the game, and he made everybody well aware of it. You do not hear the coach call out his team like this very often. I want to hear a couple of these quotes before we get to our thoughts on the roster and on what has gone wrong for them through the first 6 games. Let's be clear, they are above 500 right now. They're 3-2-1, but they needed to get off to a hot start, and we have not seen that. Here is Jim Montgomery talking about how every year is different and why the momentum from last year has not seemed to carry over into 2025.
Every year is different. Every year players start with a different mentality. You don't know what, you know, their goals are. Everybody's goal is to get off to a great start, try and get a goal as quick as you can, try and get a win as quick as you can. And when that doesn't happen, you know, the teams, that's when you get inconsistent. You're seeing it all over the league right now, except for maybe 2 or 3 teams.
He also then continued when speaking about the problems and if they remind him of something that we saw a year ago from the Blues, Alex.
It's the same thing as last year. We're going through the exact same thing as last January.
Awesome.
And we're going to have to get it changed. And we're going to have to go to work all together. That's how you gain consistency, is through communication. It's by players holding players accountable, coaches holding players accountable, players holding coaches accountable. We're not getting the job done right now with our consistency, with effort and execution. And we have to demand more of each other.
You know what I heard? 12-game win streak, boys. Ah, it's coming.
That's what's on the other side?
Yeah.
Cool. Great. I'm in for that.
Sometimes you got to get smacked a little bit before you go on a hot streak.
Well, they're certainly getting smacked, especially when it comes to their offensive zone time. Alex, in the first 2 periods last night at 5-on-5, the Blues played 34 minutes. 34 minutes of 5-on-5 time.
I don't know if they played
first 2
34 minutes.
They had 7 shots.
Ooh.
7.
Ooh.
They got outshot at 5-on-5, 19-7 over the course of 34 minutes. Mike Kelly, who joined the broadcast at the second intermission last night, said, hey, they can do this dump and chase thing, but like the chase part is really important.
Yeah, otherwise you're just dumping.
And you're going to need more than a couple of guys to go up against the 4 defenders that are going back into their own zone to win these puck battles. And then after the game, Jim Montgomery was like, yeah, you know, we didn't have the forecheck there. We didn't have the game plan executed the way that we want. So the game plan was there. They knew what the neutral zone situation was going to be. They knew the trap was coming. This isn't new from the LA Kings. They've been doing this for years, man. They just didn't execute any of it. What the hell is wrong with this team right now, Alex?
Unwilling to start hockey games on time. That's what's wrong with them. I mean, you went in the second period last night, you went 15 minutes and 51 seconds without a shot on goal. I'm not sure if that's ever happened before. 15 minutes and 51 seconds without one shot hitting the goaltender. And what's weird about it is the Blues had zone time. They had shot attempts. None of them hit the net. What happened with the Blues in that game against the Kings is exactly what Jim Montgomery prefaced on Monday when he walked to the podium and he was like, well, didn't like practice, guys. And everyone was like, oh, okay, you're going to offer this one up. Cool. Why? Well, we get too fat and happy after a win and our bad habits trend into practices, and we're not going to be ready. And what happens? They weren't ready to go in the start. I actually thought they were fine in the first period.
I did not, but we'll continue.
It started with the Kings as they rolled, because the Blues didn't have a shot for 4 minutes. But then the Blues rolled through 4 straight lines of just offensive zone time. So to me, that first period was exchanging blows, which we've seen the Blues do in the past. They did it against Dallas the other night. The problem was that second period. And what I'm noticing is exactly what Jim Montgomery just said. You've just got guys that are passengers right now. You've got individuals that when the puck goes into the offensive zone, they see it and they say, he'll go get it. He'll go get the puck, and then I'll wait for the pass. Man, when the Blues were at their best last season, there were 3 guys going after one puck, and the Kings didn't know what, or the teams didn't know what to do. Dallas, when the Blues beat them the other night, didn't know what to do. And then after the game, I asked Steve Ott offensively, like, man, what happened? And he said, we just don't have anybody that's committed to going to the front of the net. He said, these second and third opportunities are not there for us. Essentially what your dump and chase is, you're just dumping, and it's one and done. And there's no opportunity for you to generate any offense. Then the same thing happened against Minnesota. Same thing happened against Chicago. Now, in those games, you got more shots on goal, but you still had nobody around, and you went up against a goaltender that's been out for a couple of weeks. So you didn't make it hard on him. You had a team in the Kings that, I said this on the post game, not trying to be sunshine and lollipops, but LA was a very desperate team. They were the same level of desperation that the Blues were going into that Dallas Stars game. And what did the Blues do? They came out and they just swarmed Dallas. So what the problem is you have individuals that are looking at this as kind of like, well, it'll come, or I'll do this, not a team mentality. And then the other problem is you're not as desperate as the other side, which if you want any success in the Western Conference, you better play desperate hockey. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself on the other side of a win most nights.
Yeah, and I felt like last night in that game, they viewed it as, what were they, 1-3-2 coming into that matchup, the LA Kings?
Yep.
It felt a lot like what we had seen in the past where the Blues kind of play down to their competition, to where they looked at the Kings in that desperation and said, yeah, but we can just kind of get by this one here tonight. And when they didn't have it early on, they quickly just kind of folded into themselves. I didn't think they played well until the third period. I thought the third period was when they really figured it out. First 2 periods felt like a lot of what we had seen in their losses so far this season. And I think Monty said it post-game, or somebody said it post-game, hey, the reason it wasn't 2 or 3-0 was because our goaltender showed up last night. Bennington was great for them. Bennington's the whole reason that game was competitive and gave them a shot to tie that game up in the third period.
Yeah. I think the issues are pretty easy to explain, especially when it comes to their offense. You don't have to look too far beneath the surface. Pavel Buchnevich has 0 5-on-5 goals this year. Robert Thomas has 0 5-on-5 goals this year. Dylan Holloway and Jordan Kyrou each have 1 5-on-5 goal this year. Now, that is not to suggest, I think Kyrou's actually been pretty good this year. The other 3 you definitely need more from, but Kyrou I think has been overall pretty good.
Can I stop you there for a minute? Because I heard people, when Jared was on with TMA, people were texting in saying Kyrou's been terrible. Kyrou's been your best forward this season. Like, so far,
I can make a case for Jake Neighbors, but sure.
I'd hear the argument, but Jordan Kyrou, in my opinion, has been the one that's generating the most offense by himself, and he's also playing very good defensively.
I'm good with
so
that.
if you want to hear it on Neighbors, I'll listen to it with Jake Neighbors as well. But, I mean, the whole Jordan Kyrou years of past, man, that's gone. Like, Kyrou answered the bell from Jim Montgomery when he called him out, when he said, we need them to lead. Kyrou's been doing it for now 2 straight games. It's consistency. Sorry.
Yeah, but when you look at it, I agree with you, Alex. I think he's playing very well. Booch, Thomas, Holloway, and Kyrou, 2 goals through the first 6 games of the season combined at 5-on-5. That's not good enough.
Nope.
Those guys, if they don't score, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to struggle to put the puck in the back of the net. You're paying those guys money in order to get you on the scoreboard. The other thing that I would add, Alex, we talked all offseason about how much this defensive core is going to be able to add when it comes to the offensive side of things, right? Well, Colton Parayko has 0 goals so far this year. Philip Broberg has 1 point so far this year, and Cam Fowler has 1 point so far this year. That is all also relating back to the forwards, and I don't think they've necessarily been playing poorly either. But ultimately, this is a bottom line business. Do you produce or do you not produce? And the offense is not producing because the best players aren't producing. This isn't about Logan Mayu or Tyler Tucker or the 4th line or anything like that. It's about your best players not producing enough in the offensive zone. And until that changes, this is going to be what we see. We're going to see a lot of inconsistencies because that's what bottom 6 players are. That's what bottom pair defensemen are. They're inconsistent. Thank God for Jordan Bennington last night. Otherwise, you get 0 points out of that game. Your goaltending is the only thing that's really keeping you afloat right now.
Yeah, 3 games that you have won or picked up a point in have been because of your goaltender.
Yeah.
Dallas, Calgary, and then last night when you got a point. That's how you've gotten your points.
They've got to get this thing back on track offensively. That's been the biggest issue for them. They've got their defensive issues as well, don't get me wrong, but they need these top players to play like top players again, and we're going to key in on one of those coming up next. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. The YouTube chat is off and running at youtube.com/101ESPNSTL. We do want to hear from you on the mic drop feature today. The Scott Lee Heating mic drop features on the 101 ESPN app. Is your confidence in the Blues shaken at all right now? We're only 6 games in, but the coach certainly doesn't sound overly optimistic about where they're at. Are you still optimistic about the 2025 Blues? We'll get into that, hear from you guys throughout the day today here on BK and Ferrario. But next, the Blues need to get more out of one player in particular, and until his line starts figuring it out, oh boy, it's going to be a tough one when it comes to what they're doing offensively. We'll tell you who that is next here on 101 ESPN.
We all believe we're a good team. That belief is, and our expectations for our team are a lot higher than anyone else might think, and that's something we got to hold on to. We just got to learn how to be a good team. We got to learn how to keep our emotions in check. We got to learn how to be more consistent, and like I was saying, like even just pulling a point out tonight, shows how strong we are in this room.
That was Robert Thomas after the game last night. Robert Thomas is the guy they need to get going, Alex. And it's his line. It's not all on Robert Thomas.
I've got another one.
If he's going to make $8 million a year and he's going to be the guy that we consistently put up as a Selke trophy, maybe this is the year that he gets to 100 points, all of these different things, well, then that's also going to be the standard to which I hold him. He's a #1 center in the NHL. He wants to be on Team Canada. He wants to win a Stanley Cup as the guy that drives the success for a team. Well, okay, that's all fine and dandy. This is also part of it that comes along with that stuff is the criticism, right? Like, if you want all of the glory, you also get the criticism. And so that's where things stand right now with Robert Thomas. He hasn't been good enough so far this year. The Blues, when Robert Thomas is on the ice, are being outshot at 5-on-5, 50-35 so far this year. They have roughly 40% of the shots on goal when he's on the ice at 5-on-5. The only players with a lower percentage when they're on the ice this year, Logan Mailloux and Dylan Holloway. And a lot of that is because Dylan Holloway has spent a decent amount of time this year with Robert Thomas. And by the way, Holloway's also got to be better this season. Alex, what are you seeing with Robert Thomas's game this year? Because going into that game, I think it was Saturday, Jim Montgomery called out Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou by name. Said these guys have to be better. The response from Jordan Kyrou was impossible to ignore. Had his best game of the season, one of the best games that we've seen him play in his NHL career for the St. Louis Blues. Thomas did not. And once again last night, Thomas's line didn't do a whole lot. So what's going on here?
Well, first I want to pick out what he said there at the end. We got to keep our emotions in check. A couple of days ago in practice, Jim Montgomery stopped practice and basically pulled the entire players together and said, hey, we need to stop getting frustrated when plays don't happen. He said, because when you do, then you're impacting negatively your next shift or the next play. And when Jim Montgomery talks about turning the puck over, he expects you to get it back within 3 seconds. That's how when you retrieve the puck back in 3 seconds after a turnover, that's a good shift. And so Robert Thomas pointing out like, hey, we got to control our emotions. I'm seeing a lot of that same issue that we saw last year of the banner readers. When something doesn't work out right, it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And then it's slow to get back into the play. I mean, every statistical category, which I know we're 6 games into the season, but almost every category in terms of generating offense, Robert Thomas isn't into the top 5.
On the team.
And when Robert Thomas is in the top 5 in these categories, that's when you know that this team is running the right way. So they've juggled up line combinations all season long. It's been Buchnevich, it's been Neighbors, it's been Snuggerud. Now, today, they've got Kyrou and Buchnevich back together with Robert Thomas. So they're looking for Robert Thomas to get to that leader side of things in terms of your driving play on both sides of the ice. And I just think he's behind play too much. I think there's more focus on making the pass than generating consistent offensive zone time. And it's kind of what Jim Montgomery was talking about, to where, I don't know what everybody's individual motive is, but for this team to be successful, you need to put that aside and focus on the team. Now, I don't know what's going on in the mind of Robert Thomas. I would imagine you're thinking about Team Canada. You're putting a lot of pressure on yourself because this team needs to be successful, and the Western Conference is tough. So some of this feels like Robert Thomas is thinking too much on the ice rather than just playing hockey. Some of this is you just can't find that chemistry with the line combinations, which the other guy that I think should be in this conversation we're having is Pavel Buchnevich. Kyrou has taken the brunt of criticism for the last couple of years. Thomas is taking it now. And it's understandable. They're young. They're $8 million. But so is Pavel Buchnevich. Buchnevich is making $8 million in 6 years. He's got 0 goals on the season. And it feels like Thomas and Buchnevich are 2 guys that are trailing more in plays than they're leading plays. And that's the difference right now when they're on the ice. Because when I see Kyrou on the ice, Kyrou's in front of the plays more times than not. It feels like Thomas and Buchnevich are trying to catch up with plays.
I think that's fair. Any criticism that you've got for those guys right now, I think, is more than reasonable. I do find it interesting that they have reunited that Buch-Thomas-Kyrou line.
I hate it. I really do. And I know that's like the Mr. Fix-It line for them, but it works for a game, and then it gets broken up because it doesn't work.
Honestly, right now, I'd take working for a game.
So hopefully a game would work, and then Thomas can build off of that.
But how does that benefit you if it's not good long-term? Like, you get for one game.
Thomas going. I just need him to get into a better mental space right now.
But then you're going to a different line, and it's the chemistry again. Like, I don't know. You're right. Like, you need to do something because it's not working, and you've done every other combination. But
that's the thing. Like, okay, who else do I want with Thomas right now? I've tried Neighbors. I've tried Holloway. I've tried Snuggerud. I've tried it all. Yeah. At some point, it's on Thomas, man. And I saw somebody on the text line that said, I think it was the Big Show, who said, hey, guys, you're acting like Thomas isn't trying. The effort is there. Let's stop being so critical. No, absolutely not. This is what comes with being the big guy on campus. Robert Thomas is one of the leaders of this team. He is your number one center. There is a lot of glory that comes along with that. And when you're not playing well, there's criticism that comes along with it. He's not playing well right now. They've tried a bunch of different stuff. Their coach has called him out publicly prior to games. Yesterday after the game, he said, it's the same stuff that we were dealing with a year ago with some of the habits. That includes Thomas. So, no, it's okay to be critical of these guys sometimes, man. And right now, this is the time to be critical. When your head coach is publicly coming out after a game like that, where you get a point, and he's the one that's leading the charge on the criticisms, yeah, you bet your ass that it is okay for the local radio personalities to come out and be a little critical of some of the glory children that are now entering their primes. This needs to be the best era of Robert Thomas's career. He is now entering that point of his career. And so far this season, it is early. I believe he can get this thing back on track. I believe that he can be one of the players that can lead this team back to the postseason this year. It just has to show. And right now we're reacting to what we have seen, not what will happen. What we have seen thus far is not good enough. Mm-hmm. And until that changes, this will be the kind of discussion that surrounds him. They've tried a bunch of different things. They have put him with different players. They have tried different line combinations. This is really the last button you can push if you're Jim Montgomery. So my guess, Alex, why did they go back to this line? Because I have nothing else no other buttons that I can push other, let's reunite you with the guys that you had success with previously, and let's see if it works.
You're not wrong. I mean, I can dislike this line combination all I want, but, I mean, they've done Holloway with Thomas. They've done Neighbors with Thomas. They've done Snuggerud with Thomas. Really, the only thing you haven't done is moved Thomas off the center position. That's not going to do anybody any good. So this is
really a bad spot.
This is the only option, but this is why I'm not just going to point the finger at Robert Thomas. Man, this is on Pavel Buchnevich as well.
Sure.
Like, you were put together as a top line at the beginning of this season because you were viewed as two guys that can drive offense, and it has not gotten there yet. Do I think this is a problem long term? No. Robert Thomas was one of the best players for about a month and a half stretch last season after he started off slow. So it's going to get fixed. It's going to get right. And maybe sometimes you need a kick in the rear end like these last couple of games have been if you're Robert Thomas. But if I'm going to view this team as a team that's opening their competitive window, not a Stanley Cup window, but a competitive window. And JR's right. I heard him on the TMA this morning. Like, this still is a lineup that in 2 years, it's a lineup that's not a finished product. In 2 years, you're going to look at this lineup this season and be like, oh, God, that's what you went out there with? Because there's other pieces that they're searching for.
Kinda. Is it really, though?
I think their top six is essentially set. Who's not in this top six that's moving?
If you ask them, Dvorsky's going to be in that top six. They hope.
Okay, that's 1 out of 6, though. Like, that's...
You're right.
I'm not good at percentages. It's less than 20%.
Every team has a guy coming. Like Justin Carbonneau, he's coming. And most teams have somebody that they can point to that, yeah, eventually he's going to be a part of this core. Like, I would say 8 of your top 9 right now wouldn't surprise me if they're here 2 years from now. Booch, Thomas, Neighbors, Holloway, Shin, Kyrou, Snuggy, Pugh, Suter. Those guys could absolutely all be here 2 years from now. You've locked in Nathan Walker. He's going to be here a couple of years from now. They like Nick Bukestad. Yeah. He's a guy that they brought in here for a reason. Now, he's not playing right now, but Torpo could be here 2 years from now. It's basically just that Matthew Joseph spot that we're talking about. And, hey, man, Matthew Joseph has been good this year.
Yeah, I think
he's the least of their concerns.
I think Pugh Suter's the other one that they would say, well, we need that to be Dvorsky and Shen drop down. But, I mean, your point is valid. Like, yeah, I mean, 5 of your top 6, they're here, which is why we're being critical right now. Because if this team is viewed as, well, your competitive window's opening, well, then I'm looking at, because I can't say anything about Kyrou. He's been one of the best players so far this season. Can't say anything about Neighbors because he's been really good for you. And Braden Shen, I mean, Braden Shen's probably a third-line center, but Braden Shen is doing everything to pull your team into the fight with the exception of generating offense.
He's not going to be the one that leads this offense. We know that.
It's Booch, it's Thomas, it's Holloway. And Jim Montgomery has addressed the Dylan Holloway thing that he's pressing a little bit, and I can understand that. So you get to Thomas and Buchnevich. And I think Pavel Buchnevich is a 30-goal scorer, 70-plus point producer. We haven't seen that yet. And yes, I've seen it on the text line. He's already got 4 assists. That's fine. But Pavel Buchnevich is somebody that can also generate offense in front of the net. And there's a lot of perimeter hockey rather than net front hockey. And I think you have to look at the line that has been juggled up 4 different times already this season.
Yeah, he also has 9 shots on goal so far on the season through the first 6 games.
Yeah, he didn't have a shot on goal last night. I think he had 2 shot attempts.
Yeah, he has 9. So far this year, Robert Thomas on the season has 5 shots on goal. They're just not producing enough offensively on the season. Those guys have to be more involved with what you're trying to get accomplished. And then I would say same thing is true on the defensive side of things, Alex. Like Cam Fowler, Parayko, Broberg, those are 3 of your top 4 defensemen. So for as much as this team is still in somewhat of a retool, it's also the core that they're trying to build around that this is what you're hoping to build around. Jordan Bennington's 32, man. If you're going to be good, now is the time to do it with him. You look at some of the ages for your core players right now. Thomas is 26. Kyrou is 27. Booch is 30. Pius Suter's 29. I mean, you're in the prime of a lot of these guys' careers. So I would push back against some of the, they're still in a bit of a retool stuff. Yeah, somewhat. This was expected to be a playoff team, though, by those inside of the organization and all of us on the outside looking in. So if we're going to hold them to that standard, then this is the criticism that comes along with it. If they want to be associated with like playoff contenders, this is what it sounds like. This is what it looks like. They've got to be better. They've got to start performing at a higher level. All right, alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into questions and answers. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. Again, Scott Lee Heating mic drop feature is also on the 101 ESPN app. Has your belief in this team been shaken at all? It's cool if the answer, by the way, is no. That's totally understandable. We're 6 games in. They are still technically above 500, so this is not a bad hockey team. Just hasn't looked good for most of the last few games. Coming up next, we're going to dive into some NFL quick hitters, including a few of the players that are getting the most rumors when it comes to their potential to be traded at this year's deadline. We'll get into that next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues fell to the LA Kings in overtime last night, 2-1. They are off today before they get back in action tomorrow when they host the Utah Mammoth. We'll have pregame coverage tomorrow starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario. And then puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. This Sports Center update is driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at Londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. All right, let's dive into some NFL quick hitters, including some buzz as we get into the NFL's trade deadline. Alex, do you enjoy trade deadline season in the NFL?
I think I enjoy the idea of it, but it never lives up to expectations.
It's gotten better over the last few years.
I just like all the nonsense that gets thrown out there, and then nothing follows up with it.
Or like the guys that do have all the buzz surrounding them, they're like old and washed up. Like remember last year's, look at all these wide receivers getting moved. It's like it's Hopkins who can't move, and Cooper like played a snap for the Bills.
Yeah, both of whom ended up by the time that we got to the playoffs. It was like, oh yeah, that's
you're not good.
Why they were
Forgot about that.
More name than game, and a lot of the time it's kind of like baseball.
That was good.
Thanks,
Did you make that up?
No, I'd heard it somewhere else before.
I've heard it before, but it was really well used.
You should have lied. Flattery. One of the things that I like is ESPN. They put together their 25 top players who could be moved prior to this year's deadline. And in this, they include the percentage chance of them getting traded.
I read this morning, too.
Number one player on the list, Trey Hendrickson. All right, yeah, that sounds great.
He would swing a playoff race.
I mean, Dallas could really use him. There's probably 10 different teams that would love to have Trey Hendrickson.
And the Chiefs would look great.
According to this list, 20% chance to get traded.
That's what I laughed at when I saw the list. I'm like, oh, sweet.
If you're
just going to put it at 20%, why are we even putting it on here then?
Exactly. Like, do you wear a raincoat at 20% chance of rain? No.
Jalen Waddle. All right, that's a good player.
Now we're heating up a little bit.
Young player, too. This is different than last year with DeAndre Hopkins or Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper has since retired from the NFL.
Jalen Waddle's not 40 years old.
Jalen Waddle, percent chance of getting traded? 10.
This is where I stopped reading this article. I'm like, okay, cool. So your number one and number two items are 10 and 20%?
Breece Hall. Okay. Final year of his contract,
25%.
playing for a bad Jets team. I actually could see him getting traded.
I could too.
35% chance, according to this article. Where would you like to see Breece Hall go? Is there a team that you have pegged that you're like, I think he would be a really good fit there and could really change the outlook of what that team is right now?
I'm trying to think of the team that needs help in the running. I mean, like
you said one of them.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going there, but you said one of them.
The Chiefs would be one, but I mean, they need other areas that need help, not so much their running game. I'm trying to think of some other ones that need running help.
I like
there are
Chargers.
very few teams that actually need running back help that are contenders because most of them have a really good running back already.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, Chargers, where they've got some decent pieces, but one of them is hurt. Hampton's out with an injury, and I think his is like an ankle sprain, so he should be back.
He's like 4 to 6 weeks, something like that.
Yeah, so you'll get him back eventually. So I don't know that you really need to upgrade, but they need help now.
Maybe the Broncos, because I mean their running game's kind of been ineffective.
Would the Commanders make sense?
Good.
Like, I like Krosky Mayer's interesting. They could use a little bit more explosiveness, though.
Especially if it's a running back that can be like a receiver for him as well. Like, that would be valuable if you're Jaden Daniels.
The Bucs have some injury issues there, but I think they're coming back sooner rather than later. The Packers and Lions don't need anybody. Maybe the Bears? Maybe. I know DeAndre Swift has played well.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I could see if you want to have a two-headed monster, because if you're going up against the likes of Detroit, you're going to need the two-headed monster on the running game like they have.
And they're a team that in the past has done this where they traded for, was it Sweat, the defensive end?
Yeah.
And they re-signed him right after that trade as well. They could do something like that with Breece Hall. So I could see maybe this is for 2025, but really it's about 26 and beyond. We think that Breece Hall is going to be our future running back here. I could see something like that. Yeah. But he's one of the top names that could be of interest at this year's deadline. Few others that are on this list. Jacoby Myers, wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. Boy, it sure sounds like he wants out of Vegas.
I don't blame him.
I don't blame him. Vegas right now is pit of misery.
They said 35% chance that he's traded. Teams that they connected to him were Pittsburgh, Miami.
They're not a contender.
The New York Giants and the New England Patriots. You guys
Okay.
see him as a really great fit for somebody in particular? I kind of like the Pittsburgh fit.
Patriots isn't a bad idea either.
Yeah,
I mean, I know he was with the
Diggs.
Patriots, but yeah, I mean, that might not be good to have. But yeah, the Steelers are another really good one. Just get more weapons. I would say those two.
Yeah, I really like the Pittsburgh one, although like it sticks with what's somehow become a theme of the trade deadline, which is, hey, a team that traded away like a really good number 2 receiver, like, I don't know, George Pickens, that the Cowboys are like talking about an extension with. Guess what they're looking for after they traded that guy? A number 2 wide receiver. Shocker.
Yeah,
Just
but
like the Cowboys.
those two
we traded away
personalities.
Parsons. What are we looking for? How about Crosby?
Those two personalities don't mesh well. Pickens and Rodgers in one room.
I actually think like the Giants, I know that there's some talk that they're interested in wide receiver, and like Myers is a name that's getting connected to. I actually think that would be a disaster.
Oh, really?
Because I think you're asking too much for Myers to go be your number 1. And I understand, well, like, yes, technically next year when you get back Malik Neighbors, things could fall back into place a little bit easier. I just think it's too much pressure to put on him, and in that market, especially in New York, hey, come in and be our number 1. Right away, you're setting him up to fail when he gets to the Giants organization.
Yeah, I think people, though, know what Jacoby Myers is. So it's better than what they have. Like, the alternative is we continue targeting Wan'Dale Robinson 12 times a game. And if that's my alternative, I could see how it ends up working out there. A name that is a wide receiver who he's been bandied about a bit, and I don't think he's going to ultimately be moved, is Chris Olave. God, that guy's good. He's being wasted right now in New Orleans. They're just not a very good football team. But there was a report today that he's apparently talking with the Saints about a contract extension.
What are we doing
So
here?
if that ends up happening,
New Orleans is
he's
probably
obviously not
incredible.
going to be dealt.
He should be dealt, and he should go to the Bills.
It must be awesome to play for the Saints because he wants to stay.
Kamara
Alvin
wants to
Kamara
stay.
said, if I'm traded, I will just go drink Mai Tais in Mexico because he's got a full no trade clause. So he's like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yikes.
If they want to get rid of me, cool. I'll just retire.
Olave, do all of us as football fans a favor and just please ask to be traded and go somewhere where you can put your talents, like, you know, at a chance for a Super Bowl. I'd love to see him in Buffalo.
That would be fun.
That's the downfield threat that Josh Allen needs. Now, I know they got other issues defensively. I don't know if you could fix those, but you know what you can do? You can go win shootout games, and you could throw a guy like Olave out there with Allen.
Yeah, the team that I am most honing in on is the Dolphins. They've got a couple of edge rushers that could be of interest, whether it's with the Cowboys. We've mentioned it. Chiefs need one of those as well. There's a few different teams that could try to pick something up there. The Titans, they could go full fire sale here. Chigakonkwu, their tight end. He's a matchup guy. You could use him as like a number 2 tight end.
They connected him to the Rams.
That would be a fun one. Be a nice
I can
move
see
for
that.
them.
I think
tight
they're
end
getting
for him.
kind of frustrated with Higbee.
The
'cause he had a
Texans
bad drop.
need some kind of juice on their offense. Maybe he could make some sense for them.
Somebody brought up Breece Hall for the Texans, which
just
if I'm the Texans, I don't really. I know I can be in the playoffs, but like, come on.
I could see it. It would make some level of sense, but they have, I mean, eventually you think Joe Mixon coming back next year. If you're getting Breece, I think that's more of a long-term play than a 2025 play exclusively for the Texans because they have too many offensive line issues to be able to overcome.
Breece
You
Hall-
could trade for Breece Hall and then it changes nothing about what your running game is.
Could Breece Hall play left tackle?
That would be
Follow-up
helpful.
question, because if yes,
By the way,
Breece, we'll trade.
Another team that made a dumb decision. Didn't they trade Tunsil in the offseason?
Yeah, I don't understand that. Did they think internally they had a better option?
They traded Tunsil and then we're like, hey, all these cast-offs from bad offensive lines,
We'll take them.
we want them to come
Give 'em to
here.
me.
They're going to help us. Was mentioned yesterday by the head coach of the Houston Texans, D'Amico Ryans. If you want to blame anybody for the offensive struggles, blame me,
Okay.
not the offensive coordinator. They will not be making any OC
Deal.
changes. Last thing here for NFL Quick Hitters, a bit of news today at NFL League meetings in New York. The NFL is moving the Pro Bowl festivities. They will now be played at the beginning of the Super Bowl week. You guys excited about this?
Way to
Big
ruin
change?
a great week. Oh,
I'll be tuned in.
I hate the. Can we just get rid of the freaking Pro Bowl?
I like the Pro Bowl games.
Of course you do.
The Pro Bowl game itself is gone. Like it's already been removed. But the flag football game, the dodgeball, all of those events, I find them to be highly enjoyable.
Hey, man,
Personally.
more power to you that you have time to sit down and watch that, because I don't know how people actually have time to go watch that stuff. There's better things to do with your life.
My wife loves them.
Okay.
She really enjoys
and
it,
that
truly.
answers the question. Your wife wants to watch it, so then that's the point.
That's the way it goes.
That's
We
the way
watch
it
that or
works.
true crime, and I'm like, all right, for one night, I'll go ahead and watch this.
Yeah. Okay. So now
Take
this
the
all
win when
makes
you can
sense.
get it. Coming up next, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers here on BK and Ferrario.
It's your land, your tractor, and your time to save at Seidenstricker Nobe. Right now, take home the hardworking 1023E compact tractor with a loader for under $215 a month, backed by 0% financing for 84 months. And it doesn't stop there. Every John Deere compact tractor package comes with low monthly payments and the same 0% financing. Act now. Deals like this don't last. SNPartners.com, your partner for the land.
Offer valid through 10/31/2025. Some restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Martin Kilcoyne here, and on my bucket list, going to Scotland. My wife's family's from Scotland. We keep saying we're going to go. Well, guess what? We are, and now we're inviting you to join us on June 15th as we discover spectacular Scotland with Colette. We'll visit the historic capital of Edinburgh, the famous castle there, and the Victorian city of Glasgow. Visit the National Bagpipe Center for a lesson with a renowned piper. We'll have a special cooking experience and enjoy a taste or two at a historic whiskey distillery. Journey to the legendary Isle of Skye and the amazing Orkney Islands, plus cruise on lovely Loch Ness and the unspoiled landscapes of the Highlands. This and so much more. Colette's going to handle all the details. Flights, meals, hotel, all those local experiences. Your only job? Have the time of your life. Don't miss out. Join me by calling our friends at Altair Travel, 314-968-9600, or go to 101ESPN.com to find out more. The number again for Altair Travel, 314-968-9600 as we head to Scotland.
Macy's Backstage is a whole department inside your Macy's store where you can find the latest looks all for under $30. With new arrivals every day, you never know what you'll find. Find a location at macy'sbackstage.com.
You've got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's Questions and Answers on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. Before we get to some of these questions, do want to pass along a little bit of news from the NFL. Jaden Daniels, according to a report, is not expected to play on Monday night against the Kansas City Chiefs. Have you guys seen what the line is for this game? Chiefs at home against the Commanders Monday Night Football.
No, but is this now updated?
I think that it was anticipated he would not play, so I think it was built into the line. But what would you guess that line is?
7.5?
T-Bone, have you seen the line for Chiefs versus Commanders? Chiefs at home on Monday Night Football?
No, but I would think Chiefs what'd you say, 7.5?
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be double digits, right?
No, I would go 8.5 or 9.
10.5.
Wow.
10.5 points in favor of Kansas City.
It's fair. Jaden Daniels isn't playing. I'm not watching.
And neither will be probably McLaurin, I would assume. And then Debo potentially.
Yeah, I mean, this just might be the lost year for Washington.
That's what sucks, man. This is a team that was so much fun to watch down the stretch last year. I think we had cautioned a little bit about this, where it's like, hey, man, what you saw in the playoffs was not necessarily what Washington was all season long. They finished 12-5, but they were 7-5, a little more than midway through the season. They were not some dominant team. We've seen them revert back to some of what they were previously, and these injury issues for Jaden Daniels are frustrating. It's tough, man. This entire offense really has gone through a rough year. It's the year from hell. We've seen this with San Francisco in the past, where sometimes it just doesn't work because of injuries. This year it's happening out in Washington. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for questions and answers. From the 636, Alex, how can a team succeed if the bottom pair defensemen are only playing fewer than 10 minutes a night?
They stay healthy all season, which very, very, very unlikely. I mean, this is for lack of a better word, it's a problem. You now essentially, once you get to a third period of a tight hockey game, which I think is going to be natural for the Blues to be in tight hockey games, you go down to essentially 4 defensemen. I don't know how many shifts Kessel and Tucker took in that third period, but my guess is it's fewer than 10. They only kind of got closer to 10 minutes. That game against Dallas, Cam Fowler played 27 minutes, which was the most minutes he has played as a member of the St. Louis Blues. So you can't keep getting away with that. And we'll talk about this on the other side, but I think at some point you're going to have to go get some type of safety net for your defenseman, just like you did last year when you traded for Cam Fowler.
From the 801, guys, Jared just tweeted that Logan Mailloux back in the defensive pairings today. Honestly, I don't have an issue with it. With how the forwards are playing, is starting Mailloux really the worst thing that can happen for the Blues? How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think it makes sense. You weren't going to sit him for very long. You want to see what it looks like now that he's seen it from up top. You know that the hockey skill is there. It's just kind of identifying what went wrong those last couple of games. I think the pairs are a little intriguing. You have to play him with somebody other than Tucker. You can't play Tucker and Mailloux together because both are still inexperienced in certain areas, and then you're going back to what it was. Hopefully this can provide a little bit more depth. They've been using Tucker a lot with Parayko in these last couple of games because Kessel's been skating with Fowler. So I guess they're going to go down the path of, look, we're just going to have to separate Parayko and Fowler for now until we can start getting Mailloux and Tucker a little bit more comfortable.
From Chin Music Charlie, guys, what is your ideal matchup for the Super Bowl this year? For me, it would be Detroit versus Buffalo. Do you guys have a matchup that you would most want to see from a viewership perspective in the Super Bowl this year?
That's probably mine. I'd like to see Detroit versus Buffalo. I'd like to see Josh get over the Chiefs hump and have a chance at a Super Bowl. And I think the most exciting team in the NFC, in my opinion, is watching Detroit play.
I think mine would be Chiefs and Rams. You got the Chiefs and the continuing, I don't know if they would still be called a dynasty, but when you get there for the 4th straight year and a chance to win 3 of 4, you've got a great storyline there. Their offense looks like it's going to be unbelievable. Rams defense, I think, is a little underappreciated, and the Rams offense can move the football as well. Like it would have the chance to be what it was when it was Goff versus Mahomes and the points that they put up in that Monday night game in, what was it, Mexico, if I remember correctly?
Well, supposed to be, and then they moved it back up to LA.
That's right. I think it could be something maybe not that extreme offensively, but it would be a very competitive, very close game, and you get 2 of the best head coaches in the league going at it.
You guys know that my answer for the AFC is going to be the Chiefs. I'm a fan of them, but I'm going to eliminate them just because of my obvious bias there. I'll go with the Bills, and I would like to see them play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just love this Baker Mayfield story. I think it's awesome. It's very rare that you see a player have this kind of a second chance in the NFL, not for stuff off field or anything, but just he was not this player in the middle of his career. It's kind of similar to like a Rich Gannon type of story, but Gannon was just a guy that it was a late start to his career. He didn't really get the opportunity until he was later. But it's kind of similar in terms of playing style. So I just think it would be so poetic for him to get to the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers after being cast off by the Browns and then cut from the Carolina Panthers. And if you had like an NFC championship game of Bucks versus the
Seattle.
Seahawks. Can you imagine both of those quarterbacks were in the Carolina Panthers room together a couple of years ago, and then both of them go on to have
So
success
what we
elsewhere?
really need is that as the NFC Championship game, and then one of those two, we'll use Baker since it's the team that BK chose, going against the Colts and Daniel Jones'
there you
redemption
go.
story.
Yeah, that is the most unlikely scenario for a Super
Yeah,
Bowl
but it'd
this
be
year.
fun.
Bucks would be my second team that I'd want to see in the Super Bowl from the NFC side if it's not the Lions.
They're a fun team, man. All right, 314-399-9646 is the Your Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. From the 217, boys, what would you like to see as Chaim Bloom's first move this offseason?
Trade for Bryce Harper.
Did you see the report on that?
Yeah, it was a Yankees reporter that was reporting it. So, like, come on.
Not John
It was Joel Sherman.
He's not a Yankees reporter. He's a national guy.
But he's like specifically he's like
What
around
is
the
this
Yankees
report
all the
we're
time.
making reference to? I did not see
Okay.
this.
He's like,
For anybody that has not seen this, Joel Sherman of the New York Post said he would not be shocked if the Philadelphia Phillies trade Bryce Harper this offseason.
And then he said the Yankees would make the most sense. Like, no-ish.
I can name 29 teams that would make sense for Bryce Harper.
I hope the Nationals
I'll go
trade
ahead and
for
ask
him.
the question. Would you do it if you were Chaim Bloom?
Call for Bryce Harper?
Yeah.
How old is he now?
He's 33. He was 30% above league average last year. It was considered to be a down year. I think he had like 27 home runs.
I'd trade for him.
I think I would too.
I want butts in the seats, and I mean, he'd be competitive for at least 3 more years.
And I get to make up for Moser. Like, come on. How much better is that, right?
Yeah. And get Tyler O'Neill back, too, and you just have both of them.
No, I really don't want to go through that again. I would do it.
No, what? You tried to convince me that trading for Trey Turner was a good idea.
I know.
And signing Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
I know.
And now you're not doing this?
Here's why.
No,
Here's why.
I don't even want to hear your explanation. Dumb.
The reason why I would not do this is because you'd have to give up a ton to get him. Those other guys, I think they're like Schwarber. You don't have to give up anything. You're just signing him in the
Just
free agent
money,
market, right?
Which is like gold to the DeWitt.
Sure, maybe, but that's their problem, not mine. From a team building perspective, to get Bryce Harper, I think you'd have to give up like real capital. I mean, you're talking like Weatherholt or something like that potentially. I can't
But if you're the
imagine
Phillies, if you're trading
Phillies-
Harper, don't you want guys that can make you good now?
Yeah, like
Wouldn't you
Donnie's going in return
Sure,
for him.
okay.
Or, you know, I get the opportunity cost, though, is significant because you could otherwise trade Brendan Donovan for like a starting pitching prospect.
Give
or
him
something like
Donovan
that.
and Burleson, and I'm good.
See, I don't know that he would cost a lot because he makes so much freaking money.
He doesn't, though. It's 27 mil. That's
yeah, but
nothing
it's over
in
the
today's
next.
game.
Hold on, I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years.
That ain't bad.
I didn't-
6 years, 27 per. I'm serious. That's not bad in
I
today's
know, but
market.
that's still
It's
a lot
not
of
bad
money.
until he's 39, and I'm like, ooh,
Like
I'm
Rafi
paying this guy
Devers was
27.
making like what, $30 million a year under like 10 years left, and like the Giants got him for nothing. That's my comparison.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
The world we live in right now, to where BK was like, I'd trade for Trey Turner.
Listen,
I don't want Bryce Harper. That's how I feel.
Bryce Harper's my favorite baseball player. I love him.
I don't get this anymore.
I think Trey Turner might be your favorite baseball player.
I don't know that I don't think that it would make sense for the Cardinals in their current state to trade for him. If they do, though, you better be trying to win right now.
Yeah.
What if I told you that you could trade for Harper and Turner?
Cool, let's do it. Just recreate the Phillies.
See, Turner's your favorite baseball player. I already knew it. What if it's a salary dump? I don't have to pay you a lot. We'll take on Turner and Castellanos if you give us Harper, and you can have Burleson.
Yeah, deal, of course. Honestly,
And
if
the
what
payroll
you're
on
saying
that
is
team.
true, if Bryce Harper, you don't have to give up much for him, then I'll take him.
Starvin Marvin. Let's just stock up on more first baseman and DH.
Yeah.
That's the Cardinal way, man.
Well, in this scenario, you're probably trading Wilson Contreras.
No, you're trading Weatherholt, and they'll be like, we want more first baseman.
Maybe Wilson will
Or,
finally go to
honestly,
the outfield.
You're probably just getting really old and trading Ivan Herrera. Is probably what you're doing here.
Well, then who's
and then
playing
Wilson
catcher for
Contreras
you?
becomes your DH. Wilson Contreras, maybe. Or Bryce Harper. Maybe
Send him
put
back to what he was
behind
meant to
the plate.
do.
Good God, man.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone on BK. Coming up next, Alex mentioned the Blues defensemen. Are they overworking their top four right now? Well, yes. Can they continue to do it? We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
When you get hurt, you don't want to end up on the injured list. You want to get back in the game stronger than ever. At Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, we fight for you, making sure big insurance doesn't throw you a curveball. With over $25 billion recovered, we're the home run hitters you need.
This is way out there and gone.
Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Proud sponsor of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey, it's BK, and it is time to unlock your inner champion. The place to do so is with Victory Men's Health. Check them out today over at victorymenshealth.com. When you get over there, you can learn more about what they have to offer, whether it's erectile dysfunction issues that you deal with, weight loss goals that you're trying to meet. Maybe it's some of those low testosterone symptoms that you've been feeling, and you'd like to find out, where am I actually at on my testosterone levels? They can check that for you at Victory Men's Health. Book that first appointment today at victorymenshealth.com. When you get over there, it's an incredibly easy process to book that first appointment. Put in your name, email, phone number, tell them BK with 101 ESPN sent you, and then tell them what you would like to do to unlock your inner champion. They'll respond to you, get back, and be able to book that first appointment for you. They also have vitamin infusions. They have a supplement shop, red light therapy, cardiovascular testing, micronutrient labs. They've got all kinds of stuff over at Victory Men's Health. So unlock your inner champion today. Again, the website, victorymenshealth.com. That's victorymenshealth.com.
WXOS HD1 East St. Louis 101 ESPN is driven by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm.
All right, Alex, as I was looking at some of the time on ice numbers for yesterday, I thought to myself,
They didn't use a forward in the third period. Is that what you were thinking? That's what I was thinking on postgame last night. Like, wait a minute.
that was one of them.
Yeah, poor guy.
I also looked at the time on ice for the defensemen, and you see Philip Broberg at 23 minutes, Justin Falk 23 minutes, Cam Fowler 26 minutes, Colton Parayko 26 minutes, Matt Kessel and Tyler Tucker 9 minutes apiece. Those two had a combined 29 shifts. Colton Parayko had 31. Alex, I understand that there were times last year, right around this time, honestly, where we saw something very similar from the Blues head coach in Bannister, where he was playing the top four defensemen a ton. And it was because he could trust them and he couldn't trust the third pair very much. So we've gone through this in the past, and then over time, it starts to even out, and it all gets itself worked out. How are you feeling about the usage of the Blues defensemen right now? Is this something that can be sustainable over time?
No. And I mean, how am I feeling about it? Fine, because like now's the time that you can use them. They're all fresh, and I mean, you need to win games. And right now, your offense is scuffling, so you got to find a way to win these tight hockey games. But you can't keep getting away with this. Like, at some point, you have to realize that Colton Parayko is 32, and I'm not acting as if he's 42, but, if you're playing him 24, 25, 26, 27 minutes a night, every single night for the first 30 games of the season, at some point, he's going to wear down. And in the most critical time of the year, because remember, he's going to be going to the Olympics, at some point, you're going to say, uh-oh, we've used him too much. Same can be said for Cam Fowler. And here's the thing. You don't have depth in your system. If you lose one of those top 4 guys, you're bleeped. If you lose a Fowler or a Parayko or a Broberg or even a Justin Falk who's playing well early on, if they don't trust him now, what happens when you're forced into that position? So
it's weird, though, because and sorry to cut you off there, Alex, but I wanted to hit on that for a second. Like, they trusted Tyler Tucker to play up a little bit. So that's what I don't understand right now is what's going on there.
It's why I think they need to call Ryan Suter or at least make another trade. Because to your point, last year they made the trade for Cam Fowler, and one of the biggest reasons Doug Armstrong said was because we can't keep using our top guys this much. Ryan Suter was averaging like 33 minutes or 23 minutes a night. There was a couple of games he played 30 plus, and they said we can't keep doing this. So they went out there and got Fowler. At the end of the season last year, from I think it was March on, Tyler Tucker averaged about 17 minutes a night. He was doing that because he was playing with Ryan Suter. They had another guy on the third pair that they trusted in any situation. Because remember, when Leddy was hurt early on, Suter was playing top pair minutes. And Tucker was skating, I think he was skating with, if I'm not mistaken, it was Justin Falk, or maybe it was Broberg and Falk. I forget who they were skating on that third pair early in the season last year. But now you've got Tyler Tucker or Matt Kessel. And it's very evident that they don't like having both of them together on the ice together. So what's been happening these last couple of games is Tucker skating with Parayko, and then Kessel skating with Cam Fowler. And then you see Parayko and Fowler take a shift together where you don't skate those guys together. So you're putting extra time. You're double shifting Parayko and Fowler because you just don't know if you can trust those guys out there. I think Tyler Tucker is somebody that I'd be fine playing 15 or 16 minutes with. But I can't play him 15 or 16 minutes with a Matt Kessel, who I don't trust right now, and I don't believe the Blues trust right now in the third period, and you can't do that with Logan Mailloux. So what are you supposed to do? Again, this is me. I would call up Ryan Suter and find out if Ryan Suter can still play.
So here's my thing and why I don't think you can do that, Alex. This Logan Mailloux situation, it's a really big storyline this season. They need Mailloux to become a good player. Now, that's more for 2026 and 2027 and 2028 than it is necessarily for 2025. But how does he become a good player at the NHL level if he's not able to play at the NHL level? I think they kind of know what they have in Tyler Tucker, which is a physical defenseman who has a big shot. And that's okay. If that's all that he ever brings to the table, that's a really capable, solid third-pair defenseman that can play 15 minutes a night in the NHL for the next 7 years. But if you're going to have that as one of your third-pair defensemen, you're locking that in right now. And if you go call a Ryan Suter, now he's locked into that other side of the third-pair defensively. And Logan Mailloux is on the outside looking in, and he becomes your extra. So if he's just hanging out with the team, chilling in the press box all year long, he's not getting better. But he needs reps.
Why is he the healthy scratch? Why isn't Tucker the healthy scratch?
Because Tucker's a guy that they actually seem to, at least, and maybe I'm wrong on this, but like they trusted him last year. He was a big part of their playoff run, their ability to get to the postseason. And then when he went down in the playoffs, it was a huge deal. They needed that shot defensively to be able to play the way that they wanted to. So I think they want Tyler Tucker on the ice. I think they trust him more than any of these other options right now. So that's why I don't think that he becomes a healthy scratch. I think this is something that they just have to work through. And this is the hard part about the quote-unquote retool or the move that they decided to make here with Logan Mailloux. You have to live with the growing pains. It's the same thing as what we saw last night with Jimmy Snuggerud, who I don't think was terrible, but they stopped using him in the third period because they said he wasn't skating and he didn't have his best game. And sometimes that's going to happen when you've got a dude who has played, 15 career NHL games. And sometimes he's an off night. He's young. He's getting through his development curve. And when that happens, he doesn't play. And it hurts you on the ice. And the same thing is true right now with Logan Mailloux. So I don't think that they can just put this thing into a microwave and try to make it work. They've got to live with the downside of development at the NHL level, just like the Cardinals have lived with the downside of development at the Major League Baseball level.
And that's the other option. I looked at how they handled it last year, and they went out there and they got another defenseman that they could trust because they didn't want to have multiple young players in terms of Tucker and Kessel playing together. So they said, we got to go get ourselves another defenseman who can eat 20 minutes a night in the top 4. You're in the same spot right now. You've got 4 guys, but if something goes wrong and an injury happens, you're going to be relying on them. And that's the other option. But here's the problem. You're in this position now where you've made it clear that you believe you can compete. So you're competing while you're developing players. I don't mind how they're doing the pairs in this one. You know, you've got Broberg skating with Parayko, so you still have somewhat of a top pair. Tucker's with Falk, and you've got Fowler with Mailloux. Maybe that works. Maybe your new top pair is Broberg and Parayko, and Fowler is your new Ryan Suter playing with a Logan Mailloux, and Falk can do this with Tucker. Maybe that works. But you might get into a spot at some point where in the third period you still don't trust these guys and you're shortening the bench. It's developing them, but the problem is you just don't have that safety net when you're forced to use 2 rookies together.
I don't like breaking up Fowler and Parayko.
I don't mind that one. I don't like breaking up Broberg and Falk.
I don't like breaking up either of them.
Yeah.
I think I get why they're doing it. I understand it. The idea, my guess is, they want a young player with a veteran. That's what these pairings are. Young player in Broberg, veteran in Parayko. Young player in Tucker, veteran in Falk. Young player in Mailloux, veteran in Fowler. So every single one of these pairings, you have somebody that is going to be that just calming presence with the young player that's on the ice at any given time. So I understand the logic behind it. I disagree with the idea that you're breaking up your top pair in order to better make it work with your second and your third pair defensively. It's just, I guess they have to try something because what they're doing right now isn't working. So I'm kind of talking out of both sides of my mouth, but
well, they're doing this right now. Here's the problem. You stick with Tucker and Kessel. They're still doing this. No matter what, you're breaking up Fowler and Parayko. It's just they're double shifting. You hope with this that Broberg and Parayko are now a unit like Fowler and Parayko were last year, and you hope that Fowler can continue to contribute offensively, but be a stable force for Logan Mailloux to go out there. It's essentially what they were doing with Ryan Suter. It's just, are you taking away some of the offense with Fowler? Last year when Fowler was awesome, some of it was on the power play, but some of it was 5-on-5. He still can generate that 5-on-5. It's just you're not seeing 20 minutes a night, but maybe this is how you get Mailloux up to speed with what you need from him playing this one. So I think this is the only option you have. To me, Kessel's not a top 6 defenseman. I think it's smart to put Mailloux back in, and Kessel's that guy that can go in and out. Right now, you need to get Tucker to the point where you could trust him for 16 to 17 minutes a night as a 5th defenseman, and then slowly play Logan Mailloux into all of this.
That's fair. It's going to be interesting to watch how they monitor all of this stuff. We are not at the place of hey, the Mailloux trade was a mistake. Again, we said it in the offseason. It continues to be the case today. This trade was about 2028 as much as it was about 2025. But you're in 2025 right now, and you've got to make it work right now, and you're trying to win right now. So working around Logan Mailloux and getting his development going while also trying to win for today, it's a tough place to be in. It's what you had with Ollie Marmol over the past couple of seasons, and it's now what Jim Montgomery is going to be tasked with having to do as the head coach of the St. Louis
You know what's
Blues.
interesting about this? We talked about the Kings yesterday and how you avoid those pitfalls. They're doing the same thing. They're doing this with Brant Clark. Brant Clark is another young defenseman that they're trying to get up to par with, playing 18, 19 minutes a night to be a top pair defenseman. You're doing it with Quentin Byfield, who's now starting to establish himself. This is the hard part of juggling competitiveness and also juggling younger players.
The difference with that, though, is Brant Clark played 80 games a year ago and had 33 points and was a plus 13 while on the ice while playing 16 minutes a night. This is almost what Brant Clark was 2 years ago when he played 16 games for them and was a -6 playing 13 minutes a night. So they kind of went through this last year of breaking him in, and he took the ground. He hit the ground running.
Yeah.
He was great for them in that increased role. The Blues are going through this with a player that's struggling while trying to get into an increased role. It'll be interesting to monitor for sure.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, I think Tucker's going to be fine. I think Tucker's just got to get this confidence
That
back.
one I'm not worried about.
Yeah, may use the one. But if there's one guy that you just are like, hey, we got to wait a little bit in terms of trust, that's fine. It's been two guys that they don't trust, and you can't keep living off of four defensemen playing 20-plus minutes a night.
And I think this goes back to the Mayu decision, because if that player that was struggling was Matt Kessel, I think what you're saying right now, Alex, is it makes all the sense in the world. If it's Kessel, well, I apologize for this, but it's true. I don't really care what his future is. If he ends up going on waivers, like, it's not the biggest thing in the world for the Blues.
No.
If he ends up sitting in the press box for 60 games this year, fine, that's cool. Like, no harm, no foul. Mayu does not have those same thoughts about him. That guy needs to play. He needs to be out there on the ice. We're not putting him through weight. Like, this is a guy that needs to be on the ice for the Blues. And so it limits some of the answers that you can go out there to add in, whether it be via trade or any kind of a free agency situation. So yeah, that's where they're at. Army's hands are a little bit tied, and Jim Montgomery's hands are a little bit tied. They need the Logan
More
Mayu
Montes
experience to
than
work.
anybody.
No doubt. Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to get into our conversation with Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues. We'll get his thoughts on the defensive pairings, the line shuffling, all of that. Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, joins us in 15 minutes. But next, have teams figured out how to stop Mizzou's running game, or is this just a couple of opponents that had a nice game plan? We'll talk about that next year on 101 ESPN.
It's time for another moment in Blues history.
On this day back in 1996, the Blues would win out west in Phoenix, a 2-1 victory over the Coyotes. Phoenix would score first in the second period, but Brett Hull's second of the year would be with 10 seconds left to go in the second period. And then in the third period, Jim Campbell's fifth of the season. In between the pipes for the Blues, Grant Fuhrer stopping 26 of 27 shots.
This date in Blues history is powered by Classic Air Care.
Make your life more comfortable for all your HVAC, plumbing, and electrical needs. ClassicAirCare.com.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Land Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit lance.drurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
ESPN has your chance to score free tickets to Hardy, playing at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater Friday night, June 5th. Find all the ticket info and get entered to win those free tickets for Hardy right now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app, powered by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. So I was listening to something from CBS Sports, Alex. Aaron Taylor was on their show, former offensive lineman, and he was talking about the Mizzou running game and its issues over the past couple of games. We've talked about it here on our show as well. They have not been as productive. It's impossible to ignore as they were earlier on in the season. Here's what he had to say.
You look at this Missouri team, the reason Ahmad Hardy can't get yards is because teams are figuring out how to corral him at the line of scrimmage. Missouri's offensive line struggles. They're free runners at times, and because of that, Rick, that defense of Vandy, I think, can nullify it. Back-to-back weeks, Missouri running the footballs had their season low. It's trending in the wrong direction. Vanderbilt, on the other hand, leads the country in yards before contact. A lot of it's because of that option game and Jerry Kill and that offense that you mentioned. Vanderbilt's a for real team.
Okay, you ain't got to convert me, man. I get it.
So he thinks that the better running team in this game is Vanderbilt. They've had more success with it against SEC opponents. Missouri has not looked the same over the last couple of weeks. I mean, hard for me to suggest otherwise.
He's right, but I think a lot of it's because of your mobile quarterback.
Sure. I think the Hardy conversation and really the running game conversation overall, it got so out of whack score-wise against Alabama. I don't think that was a lack of success. Missouri's running backs ran the ball against Alabama 17 times for more than 100 yards. They were fine on the ground. The problem was they couldn't run when they got it late because they were down by 2 scores and the time became their biggest enemy there. So that to me was a totally different conversation. This past week, Auburn kicks their ass. Just flat out up front, they on average were getting hit in the backfield. Before they were getting back to the line of scrimmage, they were getting hit. And so the running backs had to make something out of nothing. That was a legit concern to me. I'm just not convinced that Vanderbilt has the same dudes up front that Auburn did. What's your level of concern right now or pessimism about Missouri's offensive line / running game?
I mean, it's concerning because of what the last couple of games have looked like, but I don't believe Vanderbilt has a Alabama or Auburn-esque defense. So that's the part that I'm just kind of uncertain about going into the game. I think Mizzou will have a good rebound after their last couple of outings, specifically for Ahmad Hardy and Bo Prabula. But the real question is, can the offensive line hold up? Even if this defense isn't to the same level as Auburn, where's their confidence at in terms of these last couple of games, and can Vanderbilt exploit that? I don't believe we're going to see a game this week against Vanderbilt where Ahmad Hardy is just a non-factor, or Bo Prabula looks like he's having to throw the ball 40 times for them to have success. But I do really wonder if this offensive line warts that have been shown, if other teams know how to exploit that in terms of a specific matchup where they isolate one offensive lineman and that's where you start to rush Prabula, or that's where Hardy gets caught. So I don't think it's going to be Auburn. I think this is going to be a little bit more offensive upside, but I do wonder if this offensive line is starting to hit that fatigue factor.
One thing that I would like to see them do, because Auburn, one of the ways they were able to shut down Mizzou's running game, Mizzou does this outside zone, right? You hear about it all the time on the broadcast. That's what they're known for. That's their bread and butter. And when you're going about it that way, there are a couple of ways to defeat it. And one of the things that Auburn did is they were like, basically the effectiveness is they would blitz a linebacker. They would just streak a guy straight through the gap where the running back is trying to get to, because he's effectively unblocked there. And so they were getting home with that, and they were able to get that guy, go attack it in the backfield. I would like to see Mizzou counteract that if Vandy has a similar kind of a game plan, because you see it on film, you're like, okay, this is something that we can use with success as well. Different personnel, but maybe they can do it with some level of effectiveness. I think something that Missouri can do to counteract that is get the play-action passing game going. Play action as if you're running that same outside zone roll Pabula the opposite direction, and then have a bunch of dudes with different level concepts. So you've got Norfleet, and maybe you got a big drag route coming across with the Lugbade, and that allows you an opportunity to get everything flowing in one direction, and then the passing game comes back in the other way. And if that linebacker is overly aggressive and he's now come down because of the running game, you've got an opening in the middle of the field, either for Pabula to take off and run, or to use one of those two guys that's now potentially open coming across the middle. So I think that's a way that Missouri can exploit some of the things that they saw a week ago. If I can think of that, I guarantee you that Missouri's thinking of it. I'm sure there's pitfalls to that as well, maybe one of which is that defensive end. They don't come screaming off of the edge, and now they're attacking Bo Pabula. There are downsides to it, but I think there are ways for Missouri to also attack some of this stuff and to work off of the over-aggressiveness that some of these teams are using.
And in theory, too, then that's easy completions for Pabula as well, right?
Sure.
And especially if you go the short route for Norfleet, for example, and he's the one that leaks out. I like that idea of trying to get to it, because this is where I have a tough time struggling with what does like the running game mean for Mizzou, because I still think the running game is going to be fine, and I think Vandy, they might be able to have a good game. I don't know if they'll have a great game. You know, that's where I struggle. But if they have a good game, then what does that mean that the passing game has to be? You know, because I think what we've seen from Mizzou is if the running game is not great, then they are going to have struggles. You saw it against Auburn. You saw it against Alabama, where the running game was not good. It had its struggles. And what happens is you force the ball into Pabula's hands and say, okay, we know that Hardy can beat us if I'm the Vanderbilt defense. Can Pabula? And that's where it comes down to, okay, does running this play action that you're talking about, where now he's kind of running that bootleg out, does that make things a little bit easier for him to maybe have easier completions or free up more options for him, right? Whether it is throwing the ball or using his legs to do what Pavia is probably going to do to the Missouri defense in that contest.
That's the other side of things in this game. Missouri's running game has been, I wouldn't say exposed, but it's been limited over the last couple of weeks. Meanwhile, Vandy is having more and more success as the season continues. Here's Eli Drinkwitz on the difficulties of trying to defend this Vandy offense, and specifically their quarterback, Diego Pavia.
I don't know that any of them are as good at the improvisation as Diego. I think he is, there's a third down play where LSU has everybody taken away. They have a DN with a free runner on him, and he's able to make him miss with a 3-move in the backfield and then throw it to the tailback who's not even in the play. He's literally not even an option, but he's eligible, and he found him. So, that kind of stuff, it's hard to replicate. And again, I think he's the best that I've seen doing that. He's a magician back there. So we got to be really disciplined in how we tackle. We got to be disciplined in our angles. It'll be a real challenge.
Is Pavia the most difficult matchup that Missouri's gone up against so far this year, quarterback-wise? Because you think about it, Missouri's gone up against the Heisman favorite in Ty Simpson. He was great against them and made some spectacular throws, especially that, I think it was 4th and 8 that he had against Missouri, just a ridiculous throw into tight coverage. They went up against Lenora Sellers, who's considered to be a top 5 quarterback in next year's NFL draft if he decides to declare. They went up against Jalen Daniels earlier this season for Kansas, who's like 27 years old. He's a grown man. I think he has 7 degrees from Kansas.
Nice.
Pavia's not far behind him.
Yeah, true.
Pavia's got 2 more years, probably.
Consistently one of the more productive quarterbacks in college football. Is this they also went up against Jackson Arnold, which, he played. Is this the most difficult matchup that Missouri's had so far this year?
I think so, just because of where Vanderbilt is at. I thought Sellers was going to be the more difficult matchup, but obviously, he came back. He was injured, but still, I think this has to be it just because of how good Vanderbilt has performed. And a lot of this is because of what Drink talked about there, the improvisation of Pavia when he's on the field. But, I think you also have to put Sellers into the conversation, despite him being injured. And you have to put Daniels into the conversation because the previous time, Daniels had some success against Mizzou. So I think Pavia is the toughest matchup that they've gone up against this season, but a lot of it is just because where the team is at versus just him individually.
Yeah, I think he's the toughest matchup, and I think he's just more dynamic with his legs than Daniels. And that's not taking anything away from Daniels, but you can tell he had kind of slowed down since when he was that 21-year-old kid running around in Kansas's backfield because of injuries. But you look at Pavia. Daniels, I would say what made him dynamic was, yes, he could use his legs, but it was more in scrambling. Pavia, they can run with him, right? He can run a read option, and he can take off. He doesn't just have to scramble when you get in the backfield. He's a good passer. He's got a bunch of experience now at this point in his career. I think he is the most dangerous matchup that they've seen so far.
I think what impresses me most about Diego Pavia is how few negative plays he has. And that's what's different between him and Lenore Sellers.
That was Sellers' problem.
Sellers' problem is, dude, that guy takes so many sacks, and they're huge sacks, critical sacks, where he's losing like 15 yards while he's in field goal range. Here are the number of sacks that Diego Pavia has taken by game so far this year. You guys ready? 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. Has not taken more than one sack in a single game so far this year. That's impossible. He's going up against LSU, Bama, South Carolina's defensive line. Their team's not very good. Their defensive line is quite good. And he's taken one sack or fewer in all of those games? That's crazy. That is the ability to create from outside of structure while also limiting your negative plays. That's a holy grail. If you're a quarterback and you're able to do both of those things, creating out of structure and limiting negative plays, that's Patrick Mahomes in the NFL. That's what that is. And he's not Mahomes. I don't think he's going to be that at the NFL level. I'm not sure that his game will translate to the NFL level. But in college, there is such huge value in having a guy that can do this kind of stuff. And I think it is clearly the most difficult challenge that Missouri's defense had to face so far this season, even despite the fact that they went up against the current favorite to win the Heisman, because of how many different ways Pavia can beat you. I don't think he has the same help around him, but as an individual player, he's a more difficult matchup for the Mizzou than Ty Simpson was or than Lenore Sellers was earlier this year.
And I agree he doesn't have the pieces around him, but it's different the way he does it. I want to be clear. He can single-handedly win a football game like Jane Daniels did against the Tigers when he was at LSU. Like, that's the capability Pavia has. And I agree. I don't think he's probably an NFL quarterback, but he can avoid sacks. I mean, he was basically the reason they won that LSU football game. LSU was in the backfield quite a bit in that football game. They only got to him the one time, and that play that Drink was describing, that was an incredible play because he avoided a guy, I think, twice and then spun and threw it away from him and got it to his running back. He can single-handedly win the football game for Vanderbilt.
The other thing, Mizzou's defense is created. It's built upon. The foundation of it is negative plays. Mm-hmm. The whole thing is we get to the quarterback, put you in 3rd and 12, and now we get even more after your quarterback. And if they're not able to do that against Diego Pavia, how's that secondary going to hold up?
I'm not feeling warm and fuzzy about this game anymore.
I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. I think this is going to be a game where it's tough for Missouri to get consistent stops. And I think it's going to be a game where it comes down to, can Missouri's offense keep up? Can they put up points the way that Vandy's offense can against Missouri's defense? And then ultimately, that's going to be what determines this game. It's going to be a big game for Missouri's offense once again. Coming up in 15 minutes, we're going to dive into the junk drawer. Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues, joins us next here on 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN is powered by Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's injury lawyers. Call 314-500-5000.
Hey, baseball fans, step up to the plate like a pro with the world's largest sports book at your fingertips. Circa Sports Illinois, it's sports betting the way it should be. With high app limits, low holds, exceptional customer service, and more. Whether you're betting with a home team or scouting the next big matchup, take your swing with the Circa Sports app. Start betting like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com.
Save now, give big. It's time for the Glennon Card, presented by Edward Jones. Don't miss your chance to enjoy 20% off at more than 340 local shops, restaurants, and attractions during the 10-day shopping period, October 17th through the 26th. And when you purchase a Glennon Card, you're not just saving, you're supporting a great cause. 100% of your card purchase benefits the patients and families at SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. Find the full list of participating businesses and buy your card today at glennoncard.org.
Hey, so yesterday morning I was driving down to the morning skate. I turned right on Bitterfield out there in Manchester, and I saw two classic air care trucks. They're helping home with an install, and you still have a time to get some great rebates, but those are going to run out if you don't get a hold of Classic Air Care. So if you were thinking that you might need to upgrade your unit at your house sometime here in the next few months, now's the time to do it. But they can also just come out and maintain that unit, and that's the best way to save you as much money as possible. Maintenance. It's really that simple. They come out, they make sure that all the unit is functioning well. There's no cracks in any of the heat panels. Everything is normal and safe for your house. Because, folks, going into the winter, and I had this problem in my house once, you want to make sure that this thing is running properly, because you want to make sure that all the gases with the CO2, everything is in there and safe and not leaking out. I had an issue where it was leaking out. That was a problem. They can make sure that you are up and running and safe. That's why I trust Classic Air Care. You do the same. They've got a 4.8 Google rating for a reason, because you're going to get great service and people are sharing their experiences with you, so you know what you can count on. Check out their Google rating at their website, classicaircare.com. Set up an appointment, have them come out, maintain that unit, keep you safe, keep you warm throughout the winter as well. It's Classic Air Care, making people comfortable since 1926.
The Blues game? Want to hear the highlights? Need player reaction? Want more analysis and opinion? It's all here on Curbside, your next day post-game podcast with a voice of the St. Louis Blues, Chris Kerber. Catch new episodes of Curbside every morning after every Blues game on 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. Curbside is presented by Blue Note Roofing, roofing, siding, and gutters, your St. Louis roofing experts. Visit BlueNoteRoofing.com for a free inspection.
Tanner Hendrickson here at the Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Blues fell to the LA Kings in overtime last night, 2-1. They are off today before they return to action tomorrow night when they host the Utah Mammoth. Well, pregame coverage tomorrow night starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario, then puck drop with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. And the voice of the Blues, Chris Kerber, will join us next here on BK and Ferrario. The Sports Center update was driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. SEMALondoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
We're talking everything St. Louis Blues as we head into the Blues booth on 101 ESPN. Presented by Boardwalk Hardwood Floors. Find your perfect new floor at boardwalkhardwood.com.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It wasn't a good night for the Blues last night. They did get a point, but afterwards their coach comes out and basically calls out all of their effort and their inability to play together. And then today, Alex, as they got on the ice, he once again backed it up by effectively saying, hey, sometimes you go back on the tape and you think to yourself, man, I was a little overreactionary there to what I saw on the ice immediately following the game. So that was not the case here. It looked as bad on film as it did as I was watching it live. That is the backdrop to our conversation with Chris Kerber, the voice of the Blues. He joins us via the Callier and Thompson hotline. Kerbs, appreciate the time as always, man. How you doing today?
I am good. Just left the rink, and I had a similar thought that you had.
So give us your mindset on what you saw from the Blues last night, and now that you've had, 12 hours to sit with it, how you're feeling about it today.
Well, I think the first thing that you have to understand is that the Blues are a very, very good team. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at the way that they play, they have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. And when you look at Well, I think what you're looking for, frankly, BK, is consistency from one game to the next, and I honestly don't think we've really seen it. Even the victory in Calgary was really your goaltenders helping you steal a point, and then you had a good game in Vancouver. You come home, you don't have a good game against Chicago. You have an encouraging, better game against Dallas, then a not a great start against L.A. You know, so you're kind of hitting a point going into game number 7 where you're like, what kind of game should you expect? And for me, that was one of the biggest issues a season ago, is for quite a long time, you just didn't know what to anticipate from the team. And I can tell you that if, as a fan, you're kind of getting that and you're saying, I don't know what to expect, I can tell you that the players in the locker room are probably in that same way. I talked to a couple guys today that said our expectations are high. And when I'm talking about, look, people think, hey, this team is good enough to make the playoffs, that's one thing. Their expectations are they can compete for as one of the top teams in the division. You know, so I think they're putting a lot of like internal self-pressure on themselves, which is good. Those expectations should be high, and you want that as a fan, and I think you want that as a team. But I don't think we've seen the consistency, and I think that's where you're maybe sensing some of the directness, bluntness, or even frustration from Jim Montgomery in there, because I don't know that after you played such a good game in Dallas and you responded to the coaching and you responded to what you expected, I don't know that you expected a game where the coach came out and said, we didn't implement the game plan at all in the first 2 periods. So what that does to me is that just has you resetting again now against a good Utah team, right? And so you got to go in and you're almost starting over, if that makes sense, and that's where they're at.
So, Kerbs, Jim, over these last few days has kind of pinpointed the leaders, and specifically on, I think it was Saturday, he talked about Kyrou and Thomas saying, we need them to lead. We need them to be our best players. Kyrou went out there and had a doozy of a game against the Dallas Stars. Pinpointing Thomas and Buchnevich, what has stood out to you about those two early on this season?
Well, Thomas's numbers aren't there. There's not, a ton of offensive production, but when you look at it, he's making some good plays. It's something we're going to talk about on the broadcast tomorrow. You look at, and fans can go this. You can go to NHLEdge.com. You can look at some of these, some of these, and this isn't all that. This isn't, deep science here. This is just look at ozone time, and the Blues right now in the early season, they rank 7th in ozone possession time out of 32 teams, but they're 24th in goals for. So what does that tell you? I mean, just it's a simple follow the map here. You're getting the puck, you're getting good possession, but you're not getting it to the front of the net and then turning that into goals. So part of it is the aggressiveness to turn it into goals. The other part is the actual finishing part of it. And, so I think you're seeing chances. I just don't think you're seeing the finishing to line up with the numbers. I do think that I believe from a coaching standpoint that if you're talking about the direction this team's got to go, I do think talking about those two guys, the veteran guys, Buchnevich, Shen, I do think even though he's young, Neighbors is really starting to move into that category. Like those, and I think Jake's had a good start to you. Those are the guys you have to lean on because, I'm filling out my book last night, Alex, and you're just realizing, oh, man, Snuggerud, 21. This guy's still, 23. This guy's still 24. And then I'm like, okay, well, Kyrou's 27. Thomas is 26. That's wheelhouse right here now, right? And so to me, there's still a lot of youth, but to me, the veteran players are the ones that have to guide the youth and really they're the ones that have to take the reins here to set the tone,
Kerbs, what do you make of the fact that Jim Montgomery said this is the same issues that we dealt with last January? I mean, that to me is the thing that stands out. If this was new issues that were popping up and it was the first time that we've dealt with this core and they had some of these same things, that I wouldn't really make much of it, honestly. You're 6 games in, you're 3-2-1, whatever, no harm, no foul. But the fact that they're talking about the same things that popped up with the same coach last year and that we've seen this multiple times over the last 3 to 5 years, that's the thing that stands out to me.
It's about mindset. It seems the way I look at it. I think it's a fantastic or a fascinating comparison, depending on how you want to look at that. There's a lot going on in last January. We're talking to Matt DeFranks about it at the morning skate today with that comparison, and You're talking about a team that won a couple great games against Calgary, and then you think you're kind of turning things around. Then you lay a stinker, and in the midst of all this, you've got the Brandon Saad contract thing. Is the Blues terminate that? You lose some games, and you really felt that you pretty much basically Januaried yourself right out of the playoff race, and it truly felt that way. I think one of the reasons it's helpful for Jim to reference is if a player happened to hear it, the player knows, okay, that's recognizable. How do we deal with it? But I think what he's just referencing is sort of that inconsistency of not knowing which team you're going to get on a nightly basis. Now, they came back out of the break last year. They figured it out, and then you got to the point you knew what team you were getting on a nightly basis, and this is a new team. I mean, I've seen cultures, I've seen things just reset, and you've got to rebuild the trust system, and that's kind of where they're at right now.
Kerbs, are the Blues lacking an identity line, unlike they had last year with that WTF line?
I don't know that they're lacking an identity line so much, Alex. In all honesty, I just think they're lacking an identity. I think they know what they want to play. I think they know how they need to play. I think when you look at the LA Kings and the size of a top center like Quentin Byfield, and you look at some of the other teams we've played, and you're looking at defensemen that seem to all be 6'6" or higher now, Dallas and Liam Bichel, and you look at those things. If you're not going to play a straight, hard-nosed, dig-in physical style of play, I don't think you can be successful. And so to me, that they talk about what is Blues hockey. Well, that's going to have to be Blues hockey. Now, yeah, they don't have yet, especially with the injuries to Sundqvist and Toropchenko, and it's looking positive that Sundqvist could play tomorrow. I'd say it's more likely than not, I would guess, is if I'm reading the tea leaves. Yeah, one line can really get you there. Like I thought Braden Shen led the team into the battle with the way he was hitting and playing last night. Right up to the time that unfortunate penalty happened, I literally had said to our TV producer, Tim Pabst, I said, Shen's my number 2 star of the game right now. So, yeah, it's going to help when you get that. But Alex, you got to get consistency in your lineup for those lines to develop and be able to get there. Like, you can change a bunch of lines, but eventually they kept that WTF line together. Remember the beginning of the year, Nathan Walker's in and out of the lineup? Mm-hmm. And you kept saying, why are we taking Nathan Walker out of the lineup? Well, look what happened when they kept him in it, right? So part of that's going to come with success, but a bit of a chicken and the egg, which one is the engine? I don't know.
He's Chris Kerber. He's the voice of the Blues. He'll be on the call for the Blues as they get back in action here tomorrow night against the Utah Mammoth, a team that's coming in having a lot of success so far this season.
One last night against Colorado.
Be an interesting matchup for those two teams for sure. Kerbs, appreciate the time as always, man. We'll talk with you again next week.
Okay, guys, have an awesome week.
See you, Kerbs. That's Chris Kerber, voice of the Blues. Appreciate his time as always, joining us here on BK and Ferrario. Alex, coming up next on the other side, I do want to talk about one of the biggest pieces of news in sports right now. It's something that T-Bone hates, and I am fascinated by. We'll get into that next here in the Junk Drawer on 101 ESPN.
Martin Kilcoyne here, and on my bucket list, going to Scotland. My wife's family's from Scotland. We keep saying we're going to go. Well, guess what? We are. And now we're inviting you to join us on June 15th as we discover spectacular Scotland with Colette. We'll visit the historic capital of Edinburgh, the famous castle there, and the Victorian city of Glasgow. Visit the National Bagpipe Center for a lesson with a renowned piper. We'll have a special cooking experience and enjoy a taste or two at a historic whiskey distillery. Journey to the legendary Isle of Skye and the amazing Orkney Islands, plus cruise on lovely Loch Ness and the unspoiled landscapes of the Highlands. This and so much more. Colette's going to handle all the details. Flights, meals, hotel, all those local experiences. Your only job? Have the time of your life. Don't miss out. Join me by calling our friends at Altair Travel, 314-968-9600, or go to 101ESPN.com to find out more. The number again for Altair Travel, 314-968-9600 as we head to Scotland.
Tanner Hendrickson here to tell you about my friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, which is coming soon here to the Show Me State. As new Missouri customers can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today, and when we go live, place just a $5 bet to unlock $300 in bonus bets. Starting November 17th, you can create your DraftKings Sportsbook account in Missouri and get ready for launch day on December 1st. DraftKings Sportsbook brings everything you need to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when DraftKings Sportsbook goes live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. It's safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Hi, I'm Marvin Burks.
This is defensive back Toriano Pride.
This is Mizzou wide receiver Kevin Coleman Jr.
And I'm Mizzou linebacker Josiah Trotter.
When we hit the field, we have each other's back.
And off the field, we got James Carlton, State Farm covering us.
Yep, every time someone gets a quote and mentions Mizzou, we make a contribution to Mizzou's preferred NIL fund, no strings attached.
So you're supporting the team just by checking your rates. Doesn't get any easier than that.
One click is all it takes.
Online at carltoninsurance.net.
MIZZOU.
ESPN is your home for Blues hockey. Every month during the season, you can score a pair of tickets to a Blues game at Enterprise Center. A new winner is picked every month throughout the season. Enter to win now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app presented by Ted Drew's Frozen Custard.
Don't have the same cachet that they once did, Alex. But Tony Vitello might be the face of the franchise for the San Francisco Giants. I know that sounds wild, but I think that's where we're at, man. Tony Vitello has officially accepted the role to be the next manager of the Giants. According to Bob Nightingale, he was earning $3.3 million annually with Tennessee. He is expected to take a pay cut to become the next manager of the San Francisco Giants. You do this because you think there's a real chance that you can win a World Series there, potentially. That's the hope I have to imagine for Tony Vitello. He's the first person ever to go straight from coaching in college to the major leagues as a manager without having any prior major league experience. Alex, I don't know if this is going to work, but Vitello is a very fiery personality. He is great with the media. This is just a very different job than being a college head coach. In college, you're your own president of baseball operations. You run the analytics department. Like, you oversee everything. You are truly the CEO of the baseball program. You can also decide at the end of any given season, hey, that guy's not working for us. Let's go get somebody new. That's not how it works in Major League Baseball. Now you have somebody that is your boss, and they have a boss that is the owner, and then you have fans that you have to speak to every day. And if your team's no good, you can't just immediately overnight go to the transfer portal, pay a little extra money, and go get that guy to come to your team because you are the best show in town with Tennessee in the SEC. I'm fascinated by this story and whether or not it can have success and become a new pipeline to Major League Baseball managers, or if we look back on this 5 years from now and say, oh my God, I can't believe they thought this was going to work, because I could see it going in either direction.
Yeah, and that's why I can too, and that's why I'm fascinated by it. I mean, look, if it works out, it's a smart move. I mean, you're getting a college baseball coach that just dominated the SEC for years, and you said, well, let's go young, let's get a different mindset in here and see if that makes an impact. It goes one of two ways. It goes well and your team's successful because he brings that youth spirit into a group of maybe some older players, or it goes poorly because nobody in Major League Baseball, like, it's kind of the same thing that we talked about with Drew Bannister, right? Like, the guys didn't want to listen because it's like, well, what pedigree do you have?
The thing that's different here, among many, the culture of hockey is just different with baseball, but the personalities could not be any more different for Drew Bannister versus Tony
but that
Vitello.
might not work in Vitello's favor.
Might not, yeah.
Because if I'm a fiery dude and you're going up to a guy who's been in the league for 10 years and light him up, like, well, who are you, man? You've been in college baseball. Now you're first year. So, like, I do think this is probably more likely to fail than it's to be successful. But I like when people try and bring young blood into situations that it's typically just cycling through the same old stuff.
I totally agree. I like different. I like new, I like fresh, I like energy, and this has all of those different things, but it comes with serious risk. It could absolutely backfire, and many of the moves that Buster Posey has made thus far come with big-time risk. I mean, going out and signing Willie Adames, who's a good player, but getting up there in age and is not a superstar, just superstar type of money, huge risk there. Going out and trading for a guy last year at, I guess, midway through the season, who his team had clearly soured on him and doesn't have defensive value, there's big risk on that with Rafael Devers. Now going out and making this move with Tony Vitello, huge risk, could pay off in a big way, though. I like taking these big swings. Like, for me, if I'm a Giants fan, I'm excited today because my team is willing to take chances on stuff that, if it works, the ceiling here is a lot different than going out and being, I don't know, the Cincinnati Reds or being the Minnesota Twins or being one of these teams that just, like, every year going to win 85 games. Nothing's interesting about it. There's no personality. There's going to be some personality here.
All right, now we talked about why we're optimistic. Now let's hand it over to the man that yells at clouds.
One other thing real quick before I get to you, T-Bone, because I do want to hear your side of things. I know you're very much not in the same line of thinking that I am. I would be very surprised if Max Scherzer's not a San Francisco Giant next year. He's like best friends with Tony Vitello from their time at Mizzou. My bet would be Vitello's going to want to have at least a couple of guys inside of that clubhouse that are able to instill his culture inside of the clubhouse. They have a couple of players from Tennessee on the position player side of things. That'll help. And then if you bring in Max Scherzer as well, I think that'll be...
Scherzer pitches 1 year, and then he'll be his pitching coach the following year.
There you go.
Say, I wonder if they just bring back Verlander, but I forgot that he had ties to Scherzer.
Why
so
not
I could
both?
Just see,
That's how you lead a group right there.
That would be a Posey / Vitello move. I see this failing spectacularly. I actually would. I would love to listen to San Francisco radio today because I would bet that it is not optimistic about this hire. I don't know how you can be. I don't know how you can be. Yeah.
What do you
because
mean?
I'm cool with doing new blood.
Sorry, you gave me my time. Go ahead.
Hold on here. Maybe this will make it easier. Michael off. There we go. But I'm cool with doing, like, hey, here's an outside the box hire. You go with someone. But I would say you do that with, like, a guy that's been a bench coach for years, right? Has been in Major League Baseball. Not a guy that never played at that level and has yet to coach at that level. Because it's different from coaching boys at the college level to coaching men at the big leagues. And he can't just overturn this roster. He's not even the guy in charge, right? Posey's the guy that's in charge. That will carry the room more when he walks in than what he will. I see this being a total disaster. I think you're seeing Posey and Vitello gone in 2 years.
But if you're Posey, you're doing this with the understanding that, hey, this is going to be a teamwork, and I'm going to listen to him just as much as I'm going to have him listen to me.
Here's the thing I don't understand. They're in their win-now window. Why would you not go out and get experience?
What if he brings a different type of vibe into that clubhouse?
that might be a problem because
Or it
he's
might
kind
help
of
him.
he's the guy that is the face of the franchise when you're at the college level, right? When you think Tennessee baseball, you didn't think Liam Doyle, you thought about their head coach. That's not the case in Sanford. I can name a bunch of other people that are the face of the franchise in that locker room now than him. This is going to be a disaster. Posey, I don't think he can do this Pobo job.
I want it to work. I think it'd be awesome if it does. But I think many of the fears that T-Bone is voicing right now are reasonable. There is so much that goes into that job. I certainly have like a 1% glimpse into what the job is from what we see day to day whenever we're around the baseball side of things for the Cardinals. Dude, the amount of media that you have to do is different. The amount of information that's coming your way is different. The sheer just quantity of games, 162 over the course of the entire summer, is different.
It goes on for 7 days a week, not a weekend.
Yeah, dealing with personalities of players that are making $30 million a year, telling Rafael Devers, no, you are going to play first base.
I forgot he was on that team.
Than what he had to deal with in college, where if you don't like a guy, take him off of scholarship or tell him he's not starting on Friday nights. Like, you have all of the authority. You are truly the authority figure inside of a college baseball program. Stuff just doesn't exist at the major league level. Like, let's go down a route that we know of. If you've got a pitcher who's not performing well but has trade value, and you would like to start somebody different.
I don't know who you're talking about.
But the front office would like to keep that guy in the rotation. Guess what's happening? Guy's going to make those starts.
You talking about Sonny Gray?
Yeah, sure, of course. That is going to be an interesting thing to see work itself out over the next year.
I forgot the Devers side of this. Like, I can't wait to see when Vitello says, no, you're going to be playing first base. And he's like, well, no, I'm not.
What happens if, I don't know, the Cardinals trade Sonny Gray and he's like, it's hot. I've gone 80 pitches.
It's not hot
I
in
can't
San
go
Francisco.
for a sixth inning. Well, he could be on the road. I'd travel.
Yeah, you just won't pitch those games.
How's Tony Vitello going to respond when he comes in? Coach, I'm done. What do you mean my bullpen is fried? I need you to go out there.
I think it could work, though. He's a good baseball guy. He cares about all of the little things. Like, if you've ever heard Tony Vitello talk, that guy really instills the little things on the fundamental side of baseball. So, like,
he's a great interviewer. I'll give him that.
Some of this stuff, I think it could work. And if it does, he could become, like, one of, A, the faces of that team, and B, a figure that people really enjoy having in Major League Baseball because he is very much an old school manager in that way. But there are also elements to where this could be an absolute disaster.
Oh, you were talking about Eric Fetty. Duh.
Coming up next, Tom Izzo is big mad about a player going from the G League to college, and I think he makes some fair points. We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN. Alex, the NBA season is here. Last night I was able to hit on my pick over on the Underdog app. Had 3 different plays for that 2-game slate. Ended up winning all 3 of them, including a gimme pick, which was over on the Underdog app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, please do so today. Download the Underdog app and then get over there. Check out what the promos are on any given day. For the NBA tonight, it's a long slate. I have a couple of games that I'm going to be targeting. I like Evan Mobley higher on his rebound total, and Victor Wembanyama is back tonight in action, higher on his points, rebounds, and assist total for the evening.
I like higher on Cooper Flag, so take the rookie in points in terms of those higher. But we just showed you how easy it is to use over on the Underdog app. Download the app today and use promo code BKO to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, promo code BKO. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, we just talked about a college coach that's making the jump to the major leagues. Tom Izzo has been bandied about as a potential NBA coach for years, has never actually decided to make that jump. And now he's feeling like he's coaching in the NBA because of some of the changes that have taken place. Alex, earlier today it was announced that Louisville is going to have a new transfer that's coming in for this season. He has played 2 years with G League Ignite, which was basically the NBA's equivalent to a juniors league, like the NHL, what they do with juniors. It's the closest comparison that I can think of. And this past year, he was in the actual G League, which is basically the AHL of the NBA. And now he's going to play college basketball with Louisville. Tom Izzo got word of that, was asked about it, and here's what he had to say at practice today.
To me, it's ridiculous. To me, it's embarrassing. And I love my job. I don't respect my profession. And I don't respect who's ever doing that. Whoever made those decisions, because they're afraid that a lawyer's going to sue them, sooner or later, you got to fight the fight. And, you know, if we would have been aware of it, if somebody would have talked to us, maybe it's me, maybe I'm the dummy, but I'll never agree to that stuff. I think we're really hurting the freshmen in high school. I mean, the seniors in high school, giving them a chance, and we're just going to, what's the age limit now? Is it 30? You know, if you have 3 beards and 2 mustaches, are you illegal? You're not allowed to play? I mean, what is it going to be? And so, yeah, you hit a sore spot for me because the transfer portal is enough. You know, we have no rules. And now we just taken no rules and add some more no rules.
T-Bone, this is great for you, man. You could play college for the rest of your life because you can't grow any facial hair.
I know. I went to an NJCAA, and as Pavia has shown with his lawsuit, I still have 4 years of eligibility left to get back in shape.
I don't know what that means. Yeah. He went to a JUCO.
Yeah. Well,
come on, you can't use just letters and abbreviations. We need explanations here,
I was just telling you what it's actually called.
NCJ,
National JUCO College Athletic Association.
You know what? I just heard Tom Izzo sounds like a guy who's going to be retiring very soon from college basketball.
And I hope that was like after practice, but that sounded like the kids were warming up. Oh, man, the reporters put Tom in a bad mood. Oh, practice had to suck today at Michigan State.
Everybody get on the line!
I feel for him. I feel for college coaches right now.
Well, you know what, though? Like, you did this.
Yeah.
College athletics did this. The moment you started bringing money into the conversation, now you're going to bring lawsuits of letting everyone play.
Yeah, they can't win here.
Nope.
Because Diego Pavia keeps suing, he keeps winning, he keeps getting more and more eligibility, And now that players are eligible to be paid at the collegiate level, and there's like this revenue sharing, which do we know if that's actually being implemented even?
No.
No, they keep that under wraps.
So confusing.
They
to
keep
me.
that under wraps.
So you have all of these different things that are now being incorporated into the collegiate level, especially for basketball and football. So these like international players are now coming over, and I don't see that as like a problem, but it's different.
That's what Ferrario was doing.
Yeah. And you have guys that are now coming from G League, which are like the minor leagues, to college. And it's the Wild West out here. Nobody seems to know what the rules are, what the restrictions are, or if there are any restrictions. And the truth is, they can't push back against any of this because the toothpaste is already out of the tube. What are you going to do? You're going to go to a collective bargaining situation? Well, why would the players do that? Why would they agree to anything that you're suggesting to limit their ability to move financially and to move location-wise? They're getting as much eligibility as they want. They're getting as much money as they want. They can move with freedom that every other league would only dream of at the major league level. College kids have it better than professionals right now for all of these different things. So there's no reason for them to agree to anything. And it puts these coaches into a really tough spot, but that's what the money's for, man. Tom Izzo, you make a boatload of money. Yeah. These are the problems that you have to deal with in order to make that amount of money.
Yeah, that's the part that it's like, I don't feel bad for you complaining about this because you're making a ton of money in a sport that has brought this in, and this is where the athletic side of college has come to.
Yeah.
I just don't know what like the solution is, because he mentioned like how we've got to fix this. We've got to. Well, I agree. They need to fix this, but how?
Well, the solution is somebody has to not be afraid to go into a lawsuit battle. But, I mean, typically, if you're the NCAA, you're seeing this and you're like, but we keep losing.
Yeah.
And if we keep
There's no restrictions that we can implement because we keep losing in court.
And you're going to keep losing money. And at some point, you can't keep bringing in money if you're throwing the money into these lawsuits and keep losing.
And as BK said, well, okay, we'll make the players employees, but why would, if I'm a player, want to do that, right? Because... I mean,
exactly.
Man, if I'm all these professional athletes, I'm looking at that go, man, what a great system those college athletes have, because I have to sit under my contract, be in a situation I don't like. I get paid a lot, but it's sure. But
there's no cap currently,
exactly.
At least. There's freedom of movement at any given time. You can go from one level to another with complete freedom. It's crazy.
I think the NCAA should lean into this and start finding retired players that still have eligibility, bring people in.
I was just thinking maybe the Cardinals should send Walker back to like the SEC and like have, well, I'd say Vitello, but he's leaving Tennessee.
That's what I'm saying.
Why not?
What we should do is lean into this as a business proposition, NCAA. Go find people who still have eligibility.
Tom Brady should go back and quarterback Michigan.
Yeah.
I think he's out, but
Kevin
I don't know. I think you can go for as long as you want is what I'm
Kevin
learning.
Garnett went straight to the NBA from high school. Go see if he's eligible for a couple of games.
It's going to be
LeBron. People are bringing up LeBron. But LeBron is eligible. Go throw some NBA or some NCAA action.
It is one of those things where like nobody seems to know when do you run out of eligibility? Like who are the players?
You don't. Here's a scenario. Let's say LeBron says, I want to play in college and I want to go to Michigan State. Does Tom Izzo bring him in?
Of course.
No, I don't think he does. He sticks to his guns.
Yeah, let me tell you what, Tom.
He's not.
Tom had a lot of really good points. Tom was also lying out as you know what in that as well.
Yeah, I mean, next year, if
he's also retiring probably soon.
If a kid goes from the G League to college basketball, and it's one of the best players that's available, Tom Izzo should be in on that kid. If that kid's available for Mizzou, Mizzou should be in on that kid. I mean, that's the thing is, if you tell me the rules, I'm more than happy to play the game. Whatever that game is, right?
Tell me the rules, and I'm going to find a loophole.
And that's what they're doing right now. If you're a college basketball team and you're not exploring all of the different options that are available to you, you're not doing your job at the highest level possible. You have to. It's like Major League Baseball teams. If you're a Major League Baseball team and you're not attacking the international market, when you can go to the international free agency market, well, then that's on you. If you're not attacking the trade market in the offseason, that's on you. If you're not attacking the actual international free agent market, not for amateurs, but going over to the NPB and all of these different places to get players, that's on you. You're not utilizing all of the resources that are available to you. And now college basketball, college football, that's what's happening. There are just more places that you can find players than ever before. It makes your job harder, but it also allows you more access to better players. And ultimately, isn't that kind of the goal if you're one of these coaches? I think yes. Just, whew. It's changing at a rapid rate, and I don't think many of these coaches are loving the direction that things are going. By the way,
not loving
did you know Mizzou plays basketball on Friday?
No, I did not.
They play. It is technically a scrimmage against Kansas State, but it is going to be televised. Was yours televised too?
On YouTube, maybe. Illinois State.
Okay, Mizzou's playing K-State. This is like a real Power 5 opponent that they're going up against. I have no idea how they're going to go about this, like how much the best players will be on the court.
Some have been doing them weird. Like I saw today, I don't remember who it was that tweeted out, but Slew's Guy scrimmage, it's coming up, and I can't remember who they play, but they're playing like 4 quarters of like 12 minutes. I didn't fully understand.
That's what the women's game does.
I know, but this is the men's game. Like they play 20-minute halves. The reason I was confused by that is like you're acting like they moved to that system in college basketball for the men. They didn't.
Damn. Hot damn, Tebow.
I have no problem with playing quarters, but that's not what the men do.
Yeah, okay, all right. That's what I heard.
Every time I hear that sentence, it's not what the men. Hot damn, T-Bone.
All right, coming up next.
Get out of this segment.
T-Bone's going to calm himself down. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. A little sexism coming from that side of the room. More likely to happen coming up next here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. You guys give us two scenarios. We will tell you which one is more likely. All right, more likely to win on Saturday, Missouri at Vanderbilt or LSU at home against Texas A&M. It's the same line. Texas A&M is a 2.5-point road favorite over LSU. Vandy is a 2.5-point home favorite against Missouri. So more likely to win this weekend, Mizzou or LSU?
I'll say Mizzou. And I'm basing this solely off of fan side. I haven't been impressed with LSU this season.
Agree.
I haven't watched a whole lot of LSU, but when I have not been impressed with really any element of their team. At least Mizzou, I can look at areas and say, like, that's how they can win. So I'll say Mizzou.
I think I would lean Mizzou as well because I think A&M's the best team in the conference. And even though they've got to go on the road to LSU, which is no cupcake, I think A&M can overcome that. Yeah, I think they can overcome that. Mizzou, I think they're close. I would favor Vandy. Like, I think the line is right in favoring Vandy, but I think it is close. So I would say Mizzou.
I think one of the most impressive performances that I've seen from any team so far this season, given what they have done elsewhere, is Texas A&M beating Notre Dame 41-40. That was one of the most impressive games by any team that I've seen so far this year. I like Texas A&M to win that game, and I think Missouri will win a close one against Vanderbilt this weekend. So I'm going Mizzou is more likely to win this weekend. Alex, what do you got for us
Guys, today? More likely to happen. Pavel Buchnevich gets benched at some point this season, or Robert Thomas gets benched at some point this season?
When you say, you're saying like in a game.
They do not play for the rest of a period.
Booch.
I think that would be my answer as well. I don't think you can afford to bench Thomas in a game, mostly because of his position. Now, they have a lot of centers, and when Sundquist is playing, you've got Suter, you've got Shen, you've got Sundquist. Like, you've got guys, Bukestad, but I still think I think I would go Booch before Thomas.
I think I would as well because I don't think I agree with what you're saying. I don't think you can bench Thomas. I've seen Booch get benched before. I think Bannister did it, if I'm not mistaken.
It's like his first game.
That's when he earned the respect of the locker room.
Yeah, for a time.
I mean, they almost made the playoffs.
Yeah, so I would say, it's Pavel Buchnevich. Guys, more likely to happen. We will see the Big 12 and ACC send 2 or more teams to the college football playoff, or we will see 5 SEC teams get to the playoff.
What was the first one? Which conference?
The ACC and Big 12 both send 2 or more.
I would say that one. Can you get 5 SEC teams in?
I mean, yeah. It's tough. You'd have to have 1 from the Big 12, 1 from the ACC, the group of 5, plus Notre Dame. So there's your 4. Let's say the Big 10 ends up sending 3. That gets you to 7, and that's how you get your 5 in. So you need like Illinois, USC, Michigan, all those teams that are kind of the middling Big 10 teams to fall off a little bit.
Notre Dame falls out.
Sure. Yeah, Notre Dame's the one that I don't know if, I guess they got an upper hand on it, but I don't think they should be in.
That gets you to 5. I'll say it's more likely that the SEC gets 5 because I just don't think that the ACC and Big 12 will both get 2. One of them I think could. But I'd be more surprised by that than the SEC getting 5.
Yeah, that's the way I lean. I would lean to that as the SEC gets 5 because the Big 12, like, nobody really has a power win against another conference in that conference. Like, Arizona State lost to Mississippi State. BYU didn't play anybody in the non-con slate. So I can see where the Big 12 ends up with 1. Or Notre Dame falls out. I'm kind of with Alex. I don't know if Notre Dame is a lock right now to be a college football playoff team.
All right, 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for more likely to happen. You give us 2 scenarios. We'll tell you which one is more likely here on BK and Ferrario. From the 314, more likely to happen, Mizzou or Illinois win by 7 points this weekend. Illinois is at Washington. Washington is a 4.5-point favorite in that game right now. I'd say it's more likely that Missouri wins by 7 or more.
I think I would as well. Although Illinois scores, it's because of offense.
I would say it's actually more likely Illinois because I think Vandy was going to hold. I think that's going to be punch for punch. So it's hard for me to see you winning by more than 7. I could see where the game gets away from Washington. Illinois finds a way to slow down the offense enough, and then they have a tough time stopping Altmaier. I could see where Illinois could win that game by 10 or more.
From the 314, more likely MLB gets a salary cap in the next 3 CBA negotiations, or it never happens? More likely that it doesn't happen.
I'm going to say more likely it happens. I think if they go into that lockout,
I'm going to lean that
push them.
It never happens. I think it should. But I just don't see, like, all the owners that are fighting for this, which, again, I'm all for a salary cap. Baseball's, like, at the peak of its powers right now, man. Viewership's way up for the playoffs. You know, it's not like no organization's, like, really poor and, like, bankrupt. No, everybody's pulling in really good numbers. Attendance is way up again. Like, it doesn't make sense to do all of this and go into a lockout, lose a season, and then come out of it with, hey, we got a salary cap. Oh, we also need a new TV deal. So who wants to sign the dotted line for this TV deal? What?
It's baseball's in a weird spot right now with just the structure of the game. I think the actual performances on the field right now when you're watching it and you just put everything else aside, pretty damn good. The actual game's in a pretty healthy place. I mean, the pitch clock has been a great addition. I think the way that the base running is going right now is great. That we've seen stolen bases added back into the game. All of that stuff is fun. It's youthful. It's energetic. It moves quickly. The structure is what needs fixed right now. And
I'm not watching it because of the damn Dodgers.
Good for you.
And Major League Baseball needs to fix it because I'm not watching.
Hey, you stick to your principles. I don't watch the play-in games in the NBA playoffs.
Hell yeah.
They shouldn't be a thing.
Those shouldn't be real.
Wait till they get to the NHL. Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK. Coming up in 15 minutes, we'll get into the rewind. But next, has your level of belief in the Blues been shaken? We'll get to some of your mic drops that have been left on the Scott Lee Heating mic drop feature. That's next here on 101 ESPN.
Tanner Hendrickson here with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Blues fell the LA Kings last night in overtime 2-1. They will be back in action tomorrow night when the Utah Mammoth come to town. We'll have pregame coverage starting at 6 o'clock with Alex Ferrario and puck drop at 7 o'clock with Chris Kerber and Joey Vitale. The Sports Center update is brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. So, question that I wanted to ask Alex, because we were pretty hard on the Blues to open up the show today. They did not play particularly well last night. I feel confident in our stance on them, considering the Blues head coach even came out like moments after we opened our show and said, yeah, we were every bit as bad as I thought after rewatching the tape. It wasn't good, so much so that he completely reshaped the lines. Yeah. The lines are different. The defensive pairings are different. Everything about the team looks different today than it did yesterday, which suggests, yeah, they weren't thrilled with this either. Mm-hmm. That matters for today. It matters for how they're going to look against Utah. It doesn't necessarily inform, though, what this team is going to be in December or January or February or whether or not this team is a playoff team. So that's what I wanted to look at as we now get toward the end of the show. Has your belief in the Blues for this season been shaken? Are you now changing how you view this team compared to the way that you did prior to seeing the last 6 games?
No, absolutely not. I still think this is a team that can push for the 3rd place spot in the Central Division. I still think this is a team that can get 95-plus points on the season. Nobody on this team has forgotten how to play hockey. Some of it is slow out of the gate. Some of this is probably internal frustration that your game has not started off the way that you were hoping for. But at some point, everybody has that come to Jesus moment where it's like, man, if I don't start turning my play around, then the team isn't going to start suffering. Maybe it's an 8-goal game against the Blackhawks. Maybe it's the 2-1 overtime game against the Kings. At some point this season, it's going to slap them in the face, and you're going to see more of a team effort. I look at it, and I also, and not saying that Toropchenko and Sundqvist are difference makers, but they resemble more of a bottom 6 player than Alex Texier does. I think that benefits this team to get that back. So, no, I look at 6 games into the season. Dallas has lost 2 in a row, just lost to Columbus last night. The Kings had lost 4 in a row before they played against the Blues. The Oilers are sitting towards the bottom of the standings in the Western Conference. Everybody figures their game out at different times, so I am absolutely not concerned. I still think this team can be a top 3 team in the Central.
Mine has changed a little bit, and I still believe they will be a playoff team. Like, I think they can sneak in that probably last wild card spot. I don't know that I view that they could be top 3 in the Central anymore. And I thought that coming into the year. I was kind of in line with you. I thought they could be 3rd place, and I thought they'd replace Winnipeg. Winnipeg doesn't look like they lost a step. But I think it's twofold for me. One, I think it is going to be more growing pains defensively than I originally expected with Logan Mailloux in that group as a whole as to what they're trying to do. And maybe they get that figured out by the time we get to, I don't know, game 30, for example. But you mentioned the Dallas Stars, and this is the second reason for me. Do I really believe the Stars are going to remain this team that continues to kind of struggle? No, I think they will figure it out. But what I would want to do if I were the Blues is kick them while they're down and really move up in the standings and create cushion.
Well, they did.
Well, they beat them, but they're only 1 point ahead of them. And that's what I'm talking about. Like picking up points and making sure that you're able to really start to separate yourself a little bit so you have some more cushion as the season goes along for when the Stars do start playing their style of hockey. At least you've been able to build up some leeway over time. And right now, I don't know if they're going to be able to do that because of these defensive issues that I'm talking about, to where when Dallas does figure it out, I do think they leapfrog back into that top 3. I still think this is a playoff team. Like, I'm not out saying they're not going to be a playoff team. I think it's going to be in the wild card fashion, though.
My belief isn't shaken, but it reaffirms how I felt going into the season. I think there are growing pains that we just maybe didn't take full account of. Mm-hmm. I think Jimmy Snuggerud just immediately coming in and playing as well as he did for the Blues, it made us think as though he's going to immediately translate to the NHL level without having any issues. I just don't think that's true. And I think we've seen, like, last night he didn't play basically in the 3rd period. There's a reason for that. They didn't think that he was skating very well. I don't think that means he's a bad player or that he's eventually not going to overcome some of those things, but there will be moments, there will be games where he's not at his best. Maybe that's because of travel, maybe that's because of schedule, like just the number of games that he's playing. maybe it's just because he's young. And this happens sometimes where teams are getting more of a scouting report, so they're able to take away some of the things that Snuggy would like to go to that isn't there for him right now. All of that's totally natural. And I think the biggest part of this is the defensive core, but most specifically Logan Mailloux. I think it's a huge storyline. Huge storyline. Last year, Alex, you've mentioned this a number of times, and it's a really good point. They had Suter there as a failsafe. He was a guy that was, he was their blankie. Like, if you need a situation to make you feel comfortable, he's the guy you go to. Mm-hmm. You need somebody to fill in as Colton Parayko's out, he's got it. You need somebody to fill in on that second pair defensively, he's got it. He can do those things for you. You don't have that. There is no safety net this year for the Blues. Young guys got to take this and run with it, man. And they're trying to artificially provide that right now with the defensive pairings that they went with today, where it's young player with veteran on every single pair. I don't know how long they can do that. I don't think that's something that can sustain over the long haul. I think eventually it's just going to be Logan Mailloux has to play better, or they have to not play him if this year is truly about playoffs or bust. So I know that's a lot of pressure for the kid, but it's the reality of where they're at right now. And then some of this is just regression. Dylan Holloway isn't playing as well as he did a year ago. I think he's going to be fine. But maybe he's a 25-goal scorer this year instead of 35-goal scorer. Instead of taking that step forward, it's a slight step back. Maybe Cam Fowler, instead of having like 37 points in 50 games, maybe he's like 25. And it's just a good year instead of an excellent year for him. Broberg, instead of the start that he saw a year ago with the points, he's got 1 point in 6 games. He's playing really well. That's not a huge deal, but it does lead to a lack of offense at times for the Blues. So I'm not shaken. I think it just reaffirms what I had previously been feeling going into the season. We did ask for your mic drops on the mic drop feature. Let's hear from a couple of you. Let's start out with Jason.
It's the first week of the season. Relax.
Second week of the season. Actually, like third week of the season.
It's the first month. He's close. A for effort.
Blue.
I wish more people thought like Jason, though.
We are, 2 weeks in now, as of today.
Yeah.
2 weeks into the NHL season.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah, relax.
All right,
I said that last night, and people used mean words to me.
I don't know if I'm so much concerned about this team at the moment just because of the fact that they've done this before where they start off slower, they have stretches of slow games, but my concern, honestly, is more overarching in the sense that the core of this team, the guys that you're counting on, whether it's Buchnevich or Thomas, there's so many of these guys that you've been through, 4 coaches now, and you still can't get up for these games. Like, there's just way too many times where it seems like they don't show up, and you know, Shin and Neighbors and those guys are out there getting after it, Tyler Tucker. But when Booch, Kyrou, even Holloway so far this year, and Thomas, they've got to be the guys that night in, night out are able to possibly steal you a game. My concern is why can't this core consistently night in and night out come in and bring the effort? It's okay if you have one dud a month or so, but it's way too often where it's like 4 and 5 game stretches, and that's why you end up in the spots that you are and not third in the division.
I think that's a perfect breakdown. I think that if there was one concern that I would have, it's that. The guys that you've invested in are not consistent enough for you to be a top 3 team. I don't believe that statement because I think Robert Thomas is consistently what we've seen. It's just either he's slow out of the gate or he's got internal battles that he's got to deal with before he gets to that level. Pavel Buchnevich has lacked the last 3 years to the level that you thought he was when he signed that contract extension. Now, if I'm going to take the brighter side of this, we all were done with Jordan Kyrou 3 years ago, and look at how he's playing right now. So you can have a aha moment. That's the one thing Jim Montgomery talked about with Mailloux, which I think applies to the team. They haven't had their aha moment yet. The Mammoth right now are playing some really awesome hockey. You know why? Because Clayton Keller, Nick Schmaltz, Dylan Gunther, all of these guys bring the same effort the first game of the season to the 6th game of the season to the 50th game of the season. The Blues don't have that right now.
Well, they're having that effort right now. We're 7 games in. I would say the same thing about the Blues in reverse for the Utah Mammoth. I mean, last year, they got off to a hot start. Utah did. They were 4-1-1 through the first 6 games. You don't got to tell
me. I don't believe in the Tusks up movement.
And then suddenly they were 7-9-3. You looked up and it was like, oh, wait, what happened here? They looked like they were going to finally take that next step, and then they lost a ton of games in a row. and now they're done. And then they get back on track, and then they lose a bunch of games in a row, and they're 18, 19, and 7.
Yeah.
So, like, these teams all go through
Everybody
moments
starts
like
the
this.
season feeling like they're the best team in the National Hockey League and plays like it until they have their bleep moment.
They've been punched in the face, and now it's time for us to find out how do they respond. What's weird for the Blues is they've been punched in the face multiple times already this season, and then they respond, and then they do the same thing again. And that is where I do empathize with the fan that called in about the core. Why does this have to happen as often as it does with this team? I don't get that. And maybe the answer is because they're good but not elite players. And so when you're building around good but not elite players, you're going to have more of the valleys throughout your season because elite players are like this all year long, right? Connor McDavid, he's going to score almost every night of the season.
Well, T-Bone mentioned Winnipeg. You know why Winnipeg is just consistently doing this? It's because Mark Scheifele's there every single night, putting up points and driving offense.
And if we're being real, they have the same guy that starts in net every night. Now, I think it's a problem for them once they get to the playoffs.
It's a detriment.
He eventually gets run down, but that's part of it too. Like, their identity is built into their goalie.
Yeah, I mean, look, somebody asked when we did Last Minute Blues podcast, which you could check out, by the way, up on YouTube right now, T-Bone. There's a brand new episode, and boy, did we go long. Anyway.
Lucas started 5 of the first 6 games.
Yeah, well, by the end of the season, he's going to have like 65. They'll play in the Olympics, and then they'll be like, what happened in the first round of the playoffs? Somebody asked, do the Blues need to win 3 in a row for you to feel good about where they're at? And I'd say no. I don't think this has anything to do with a win or a loss. It has everything to do with how they play. Because when this team plays 3 games in a row where they win 2 of the 3, but they play 20 minutes good hockey here, 40 minutes of good hockey here, and then they're bad for 50 minutes and they loss, to me, that's inconsistent. I think you need to see 60 minutes for 3 straight games to see changes. Like for Kyrou, you went back-to-back games where I thought you were the best player on the ice. Man, if you keep doing that, that's that elite level that you just talked about. Right now, it's been... Thomas has been really good defensively, but not good offensively, and then he's got a good one, and then it's down, and then it's up. Pavel Buchnevich, it's been up, it's been down. You got to be straight with this. And to be these top players that you're relying on, that's what makes you the Winnipeg Jets, the Colorado Avalanche, the Vegas Golden Knights, rather than the inconsistencies that you're going through.
He's Alex, that's T-Bone, I'm BK. The Rewind is next year on 101 ESPN.
Alex Ferrario with you to talk about my friends over at Classic Air Care who have been making people comfortable since 1926. I talk about them so much because, frankly, they've been doing my home since 2016. The first home that we had, taking care of a 25-year-old HVAC system, and then also the one that we live in right now. Now, we had to upgrade because it was on life support when we moved into the home, but Classic Air Care was able to take care of all of that for us with the new HVAC, the financing options that they have. A lot of the reason I love using Classic Air Care is because of the incredible customer service that they provide. And you can hear me talk about it, but you can also read about it over on their Google Plus page. Thousands of reviews, 5-star reviews that talk about the quality work that they provide. Top-notch install quality from Sean. My AC wasn't that old. I opted for a higher efficiency heat pump system and replaced my worn-out older furnace. The difference in my home is night and day, and different. Any difference, can't wait to see what the bills do for the work that they provided. So call them today, schedule online, check out their maintenance agreement that they have, which takes care of you twice a year for tune-ups, and then if anything's pop up, then you get the priority scheduling because you're a part of that maintenance agreement. Do me a favor and tell them Alex Ferrario sent you. It's Classic Air Care and ClassicAirCare.com.
It's 1:52. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. If you guys missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, the free 101ESPN app. It is all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
You also can watch it on YouTube, as always, youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. And while you're over there, you can check out the latest edition of the Last Minute Blues podcast. Alex, what can people find on that?
We are
week?
so back.
It's a long one.
A longer one today because let's just say Donnie was fired up going into this episode. So we talked about the struggles, talked about a couple of specific players, the defensive issues, and then, of course, we got to the listener emails because, boy, they are flowing in these days, BK.
So we talked a lot about the Blues today. If you guys want to hear our extended thoughts, you can do so on the podcast page after the show. Alex, a little bit of news to pass along from the NFL. Troy Vincent, who is the NFL's executive vice president, he told team owners today that it may be time to look at the 4th and 15 proposal, which has been offered as an alternative to the onside kick. Quote, the lack of recoveries on onsides has been disappointing to the league, end quote. This is something that I've been in favor of for years now. Get rid of the onside kick. Instead, you put the offense where the onside kick would come from, and you give them a 4th and 15 opportunity. You're deciding that chance based upon the players that are the best players on the team.
Yeah.
Right? I think this should be... I absolutely would be in favor of them going to this rule change for 2026.
I couldn't tell you the last time that like an onside kick happened and I stayed glued to the television to see what the outcome was. Like before it felt like, and I don't even know if numbers back this up, but in the past it's felt like onside kicks were recoverable. Now it's just a guaranteed that the team is going to catch the ball and it's going to be done.
1 out of 21 attempts this season has been recovered.
I think I saw the one.
I was going to say, I couldn't even tell you.
Yeah, that's it. So it's
give me something more entertaining.
Null and void play at this point.
Yeah.
There's no reason to really do it. 4th and 15, it converts roughly 20% of the time, so 1 out of every 5. That feels fair. Like if you're in these games, I think the concern is, well, you're just turning all of these games into a Mickey Mouse thing where you're down by 14, you score the touchdown with 1:30 left, and that team is just able to immediately come back. Well, yeah, but you've got to score that touchdown, then convert the 4th and 15, which is about a 20% chance, and then score another touchdown to be able to come back. And if you're down by 14, the odds of you doing those 3 things in, a 2 to 3 minute span seem pretty minimal, but it at least allows for these games to be interesting down the stretch, which I would be in favor of personally.
Yeah, and the NFL likes offense, so I think it makes more sense. I've come more around to it just because it's gotten to the point where you can't recover them. And especially now that they changed that rule. One, you get rid of the surprise onside kick now because you've got the lineman that's down the field the way that they do it. And 2, they did the smart thing for player safety, but when you don't get that running start and you can plow through half of the front line, it's a lot harder to recover these onside kicks, and the hands teams are too good out there to be able to recover these. So I think it is about time they make that
What
move.
I laugh about with this is the NFL approves this. They go down to Dan Campbell and tell him, hey, Dan, there's a rule change now. No more onside kicks, 4th and 15.
Dan won't employ a kicker.
Doing that already.
Yeah.
4th and 15? Yeah, fine, I'll take it.
A couple of other things to get to. It's pretty clear Eli Drinkwitz has a talking point this week. So yesterday at his press conference, he was asked about that it being game day in Nashville and how that affects Mizzou. And he said, doesn't affect us. I don't think they want to talk to us anyways. Today on the SEC teleconference, he was asked about game day once again, and he said, quote, we're just a sideshow. This is all about Vanderbilt. Mizzou's clearly playing the disrespect card here, where they're like, Vandy's the story. Everybody wants them to win. They want to crown Vanderbilt. Meanwhile, we're just little old Mizzou coming in as an underdog, trying to take down Vanderbilt, who everybody's rooting for. That's very clearly going to be what Eli Drinkwitz is selling, not only to the media, but also to his team.
Good on Eli Drinkwitz. Hopefully he's opening up Photoshop and creating fake newspaper lines that say Mizzou is trash, Nashville news. And then it's like, guys, look at this.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this.
See, I don't really get that vibe that Mizzou's the
Coach,
almighty underdog that nobody's rooting for.
Yeah, I think I heard.
But he's going to play it that way.
I think I heard Reese Davis say today is it's like people are sleeping on Mizzou right now.
Yeah, and I agree. I think Mizzou is a very good football team.
No, he'll find it.
Big news in Major League Baseball as Tennessee head coach Tony Vitello has officially accepted the job to become the next Giants manager. He is the first manager to be hired directly from the college ranks with no previous major league experience. Alex, we've seen this in the NHL where guys go from college and they jump to the NHL. Jim Montgomery was one of those guys, have success right away. The difference, Jim Montgomery played in the NHL, so he had experience at this level. Vitello has no major league experience to go back on. I find the hire to be fascinating. I think it can work. I would probably bet against it working, though, because of how much different the game is at the major league level compared to college. He's now going to have to report back to bosses, and he's going to have a whole lot more responsibilities and information coming his way than he ever did in college. But, man, I'm rooting for it to work. I think Vitello's interesting. I think he's a hell of a lot of fun, and if it works, I think it could be a new pipeline to the major leagues.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of everything that you just said with the boss and taking on different roles, he's also got to go to players that have been in the league for 10-plus years that are making over $100 million and be aggressive with them and try and get them to be in the same mentality as Tony Vitello, who's got 0 games played at the major league level. So I'm not sure how that's going to go over, but I love the fact that new, fresh blood is getting opportunities rather than just recycling through the same managers year after year.
T-Bone loves it and thinks
T-Bone
it's going to be great.
It's going to be such a failure.
T-Bone's a Giants fan now because of this hiring.
If it works out, I'm willing to, bite my tongue and say I was wrong about it, but I would be shocked that I'm having that conversation in September.
T-Bone just pulled I'll tell him I'm wrong, but I'm not going to be wrong.
He's Tanner Hendrickson. That's Alex Ferrario. I'm Brandon Kiley. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 11 a.m. The Fast Lane's coming up next here on 101 ESPN.